Hello and welcome to the Kia Oval for this Vitality Blast fixture between Surrey and Glamorgan. Two sides going very well in the South Group. Surrey start the day in second place. Glamorgan, having played one game more, one win behind Surrey in the table. They are fourth. So this game is a very important one when it comes to working out who might reach the last 8 of the Vitality Blast in 2025. And perhaps, if we look a little bit further ahead, who might get a home quarter-final in the Blast 2. I'm Yaz Rana, and alongside me is Cameron Punsonby. Cam, the sun's out. Two very exciting teams today. Should be a good game of cricket ahead of us.
It's a perfect evening here in South London. Surrey, well, the Oval calls itself the home of T20 cricket, and it's because of evenings like this, where in the late evening sun there's going to be lots of sixes raining down on the crowd. And there's already been big news today in the world of Surrey T20 cricket, and that's that the women have secured their place at the finals day. That is going to be here on Sunday the 27th of July. So 2 Sundays a week, 2 weeks on Sunday. So get your tickets, come on down there. The women have been absolutely flying this year. They've had 9 wins out of 11, 1 tie and just 1 defeat. So the men will be hoping to join their female counterparts and, well, moving one step closer to the knockout stages.
A couple of changes for the hosts today. Jamie Overton and Ryan Patel coming into the Surrey side today. Ryan Patel, been in the club, came through the academy. He's not played a lot of T20 cricket though before today. Just 8 T20 fixtures for him over his 8 years in the first team. And Jamie Overton, released from the England Test squad, available here tonight. And there's one last minute change from Glamorgan. Mason Crane misses out. We don't know why, but Glamorgan posted about it 10 or so minutes ago. Jamie McElroy, the left-arm seamer, comes in his place.
Ryan Patel's T20 record is very unusual, actually, especially given in recent years he's really proved himself as quite an aggressive white ball batter in the One Day Cup, where he scored plenty of runs. He kind of made his first breakthrough into the Surrey side as the young fielder who'd run around all those years ago. I think I've got his stats up here. Back in 2019, when Patel would have been in his very early 20s, played 7 matches. Then it took him until 2024 to play his 8th game, and he's played 1 match this year, so it's his 2nd match of the season. So we look forward to watching him with bat in hand, but right now Surrey have the ball.
Yeah, Glamorgan won the toss here, and they have decided to have a bat. They're going well in 4th at the moment. Very competitive South Group at the moment. Not many points at all separate Surrey in 2nd and Kent in 6th. Just 6 points, in fact. Surrey have played a game more than Kent, who are in 6th place. And 4 points for a win. The table is closer than it looks. Surrey on a very good run. They've won 6 of their last 7 games. That defeat was the last time we were here at home. They lost a rain-shortened game here at Essex. 12 overs aside. Actually played very good cricket throughout, but were undone by an outstanding opening partnership from Essex. Paul Walter and Michael Pepper getting Essex off to a flyer in the run chase. So a chance for Surrey to bounce back in front of their home crowd tonight as we approach the end of the group stage. 3 games remaining for the home side after this evening. It looks like Nathan Smith will start with the new ball for Surrey. He will bowl to the Glamorgan skipper Kieran Carlson. 1 slip in place, catching short extra cover in Jason Roy. Here we go. Smith to Carlson. False start.
I did think that music was playing for a very long time while Nathan Smith was running up, so I'm not surprised to see Kieran Carlson pull away. But we will be getting underway now, imminently now. Take 2.
Here we go indeed. Smith to Carlson. Well, early swing on offer. Knocked into the leg side. Glamorgan up and running.
That was a lovely shape on the delivery from Nathan Smith. Quick swing and late swing. So promising signs for Surrey. We're playing on a pitch very far over to the right-hand side of the ground as we're looking at it, towards the Harleyford Road. So as Nathan Smith is bowling here, the short boundary is to the batter's leg side. Over on the offside by the gasometer, the rope's brought in off of the bat and raced away for 4. I don't think Surrey will mind that too much. They've got the catches in place at slip and that catch in cover, who's already actually dropped off a few yards.
leg side, and Smith gets away with that one. We saw that area of the ground really targeted in the Essex fixture that was played on, I think, the same strip as we're using here today. It's a shorter side of the ground, as Cam said, but that angle in particular towards the dressing rooms, towards the Bedford stand, is a very, very short hit. So if you get it either on the ground past the infield or you get it in the air, it's not a big hit at all to reach the boundary rope. Smith slightly leg side, and Smale hitting the ball directly to the man at short fine leg. That's the boundary we were talking about. And it goes for 6. And I think we have another catch in the crowd. We had one last week. We've got one this week.
That is the Kia catch to dream of. A gentle lap that flies over to you in the front row with space to set yourself. Have a look at this. First things first, Smell goes for the scoop, the lap. Gets a hold of it. And that young man there, well, correct me if I'm wrong, is that £1,000?
It is. It is. Well, it certainly was last week. We had to watch a couple of replays last time round to work out if it was caught cleanly in the Essex game, but no doubts about that one. But there's that short boundary. Surrey responded with a field change. Fine leg on the boundary rope. Movement again, and a player miss from Smale. But going back to the shot itself, Cam, we'll return to the catch later, don't worry. It was a shot that was played on just the boundary side before. If you looked at where the ball was, it was a long way outside off stump. It was quite full. It wasn't necessarily the ball you'd look to scoop. Smell knew it's a short hit to that side of the ground.
It immediately prompted a field change. Adam Samper was at short fine leg. He's now dropped out to the boundary. We're doing a little bit of directing traffic because deep mid wicket has now come in and deep backward point is out.
Pushed into the offside. Smale picks up a single. It's a good first over for the visitors. 12 without loss.
I don't think I've seen a more comfortable crowd catch in my life. Normally, there's limbs flying everywhere. People are holding stuff. You're stuck in your seat. But this time, well, the young man's now being interviewed. He's got some wonderful sunglasses on.
He's got the check already. That is quick work from all involved.
We're 1 over into the match. 4 balls into the game. He's arrived. He's paid his 25 quid for a ticket, whatever it is. He's now £975 in the black. Jamie,
can you win it again?
That's what I was thinking. Can you position yourself in tactical places? Because at the moment, I'm really sorry to say this, if you're over towards the gasometer, you've got no chance.
Anyway, Jamie Overton from the pavilion end. Laurie Evans and Will Jacks behind the stump, standing pretty much on the edge of the ring.
Woof.
Wild start from Overton. Bit of a loosener down the leg side, swinging away from Evans as well. They get through for 2. So 3 wides in total. Glamorgan 15 after 1 over.
See, Laurie Evans has returned to the long sleeve shirt to keep wicket with this evening. I know it's often frowned upon for wicket keepers to wear short sleeves, but I thought at the Kia Oval there was a certain flair to it.
Oh, what a shot. Past the man at short fine leg, and that runs away for 4. The second time Smale has played that shot, and it's the second time it's found him a boundary.
That's excellent batting from Glamorgan so far. Smell dominating proceedings. He's gone for the scoop again. And again, it's a result of the field that Surrey have set. Short fine leg was in the ring. We wait to see if Sam Curran, the captain, makes a change, and he does. So, fine leg now drops out. There's deep fine leg as well. And the fielder they've lost was deep mid-wicket, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. And what Smale has also done is he's lost slip. And we saw some shape in that first over from Nathan Smith. So that's a win for the batter. Good response from Overton, back of a length, and defended by Smale. It's such an important shot, the scoop, not just as a way to attack the new ball and at the death of a game, but it's what it does to a field. If a bowling side knows that you have a scoop in the locker, you essentially have to have a deep fine leg, which opens up spaces elsewhere, particularly in the power play where only 2 fielders are allowed outside of the ring. Gives him safe. Gives himself a bit of room, and that runs away for 4. Good batting by Smale. Proactive footwork. And he's off to a flyer, 19 off 8.
Slight misfield out in the covers by Sam Curran. I'll have a look at it here. Just beats the despairing dive. That's cruel, harsh from me calling that a misfield. He's raced away. We've got high standards here at the Kia Oval.
Good bit of footwork from Jamie Overton, but Carlson makes his ground fairly comfortably.
Well, I've got fantastic news, Yaz. We put the question about whether you can win more than £1,000 if you can just keep taking catches and keep earning £1,000, and the answer is yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, Overton just following Smale on that occasion.
I wonder what the rules were saying there, because Kieran Carlson was trying to stay out of Jamie Overton's way. Overton was wondering whether he was in fact obstructing the field.
That's a brilliant shot from Carlson to one bounce for uppercut. Glamorgan racing out the blocks, 28 without loss, and we're still in the second over.
This is an excellent shot from Carlson. Only the second ball he's faced of this match. Overton's gone short and wide. He's just helped it on its way over that quite unusually placed fielder where Adam Zampa is. He's standing on the ring, but he's a very narrow, short third man.
Defended well by Carlson. Ends another productive over for Glamorgan. 28 for no loss after 2 overs.
Well, tonight is Jamie Overton's 100th Vitality Blast game. He's had quite an unusual career, and that's like many players in the modern game now, when they have stress fractures and stop bowling so much, their batting increases exponentially because that's all they can work on in the nets. We've spoken in the past about how he found it unusual being signed in the Big Bash League, primarily as a batter. And even the Blast, he's never scored a half century in the Vitality Blast, but his strike rate is 170. So we'll look forward to seeing him with bat and ball in hand later on today.
Looks like Laurie Evans having his finger looked at. First ball of the previous over, diving to his left. Had a ball catch the very end of one of his fingers in his left hand. Receiving some attention at the moment on Jamie Overton. I spoke to him a couple of years ago, and he said one of the reasons why he came to Surrey was he wasn't getting the batting opportunities that he felt like he deserved at Somerset. Quite often batting at 9 in their T20 side. At Surrey, he pretty much always bats at 6 or 7. And his runs for Surrey in the Blast has earned him competitions in the 100 and also England. I know he's primarily in the England Test squad at the moment as a bowling all-rounder, but in the short formats, they view him, particularly in T20 cricket, as someone who is a viable option at 7.
See the sun out here at the Kia Oval. A healthy crowd in. It's not quite a full house. For those over in the SSE Energy Solutions lapping up the late evening sun. There's few places better to watch cricket in the country.
Tom Curran replacing Nathan Smith from the Vauxhall end. Oh. Goes aerial. Another chance of the crowd.
That doesn't count.
Caught, but off the rebound.
Off the rebound, not having that.
Another 6 for Smale, who's 25 off 10. Curran starts pace off. Smale reads it and clears the rope relatively comfortably. Real aggression from Smale. Brilliant start from the visitors. Oh, that's good, clever bowling from Tom Curran. Smale looking for the lap again. Pace off from Tom Curran, but also crucially well outside off stump.
Quite interesting. Just out of shot there, but Adam Zampa at short fine leg is in the ring again. That's why Smell's gone for that shot. As soon as Smell set up to scoop, Zampa was sprinting backwards.
Hit firmly down the ground. Aerial, but Smell picks up another boundary. Really good cricket from the Glamorgan youngster. Nails straight Another boundary. Smale is 29 off 12.
Which is quite interesting at the moment. Adam Zampa, yes, we will talk about Smale's straight drive in due course, but Adam Zampa at short fine leg is starting fielding almost on the half turn at the moment. He's ready for this shot from Smale and standing in an unusual position.
That's a brilliant shot. Conventional cover drive from Smale. We've seen the unorthodox. That was straight from the coaching manual. 4 more for the Glamorgan youngster.
Well, he's only got 2 half centuries to his name in T20 cricket, Will Smale, but he is absolutely flying at the moment, both with new age and old age shots. That's as beautiful a cover drive as you're likely to see.
Well, I wonder actually that because the fielder hasn't gone back, Smale can telegraph that the ball is likely to be on a decent length. If you go too full, it gives Smale the opportunity to go and use that lap shot again. Though, as I say that probably was a lappable ball. Amazing start from Morgan. 42 without loss after 2.5.
I do wonder if this is indicative of the match we're likely to see, whether we're about to see a high-scoring encounter where 220 plays 220, or Glamorgan are really getting themselves ahead of what could be a kind of a slower scoring contest.
Knocked into the leg side for a single. Smale retains a strike. Glamorgan 43 without loss after 3 overs. Yeah, when we saw the Surrey-Essex game last week, that short side of the boundary and how that was managed throughout the innings, the 2 innings, was crucial, particularly when you have right-hand, left-hand combinations. Managing that someone always has a short leg side boundary as much as possible became very important. First sighting of spin. Will Jacks into the attack, replacing Jamie Overton.
Well, I imagine this wasn't plan A from Surrey, but given just how aggressive Glamorgan have been against seam, Sam Curran has felt the necessity to just take pace off the ball, to change something. So we're going to have a look at Will Jacks.
Knocked into the leg side. They think about 2. And they hustle through for 2. Good cricket from Carlson. Alert to the opportunity of a second run.
Both very well run and an indication of just how big that leg side boundary is towards the gasometer side. Because Chris Jordan is not a slow man, but even he wasn't able to prevent that.
A difficult job bowling finger spin in the power play. And Jacks, the off spinner who often gives the ball a bit more air and a bit more of a rip than most finger spinners, looking to bowl relatively flat into the pitch. Only protection on the boundary, those 2 men on the leg side boundary. Well, that's very close, and given we were complimenting their running earlier in the over, but young Will Smale, who has started so well, he's run out for 37 off 17. They went through for the quick single, it wasn't really there, struck a little bit too firmly for Carlson, and a very enterprising start comes to an unfortunate end. Cam, you're shaking your head.
That is self-sabotage from Glamorgan. Will Smale has been flying. 37 off 17. He's faced all but 3 deliveries of this innings, and his skipper, who's faced just 3 balls, has called him through for a kamikaze single. There was no hesitation from anyone. He went on the call, and that was just out. At no point did that look like he was making it home. It's a bonus wicket for Surrey, and Glamorgan, well, they won't be best pleased.
Yeah, it's an unforced error for Glamorgan. Surrey on the back foot so far. Jacks has started tidily. Really, they've gifted Surrey a wicket from nowhere, and it's also the in-form man, Smale, seeing it like a beach ball. 37 of just 17 balls.
with a sub-fielder on. I can't quite make it out who is scampering up the stairs for Surrey, but Ollie Sykes is on in their place.
Alex Horton, the new man for Glamorgan. Horton, part of this young, emerging Welsh core, Glamorgan, led by the skipper Carlson, but Smale's part of it too. Ben Kellaway, the Jersey international ace of tribe. Very, very tidy over this from Jax with that extremely short offside boundary. He has to be really careful with his line. Can't offer any width. Well, that's a misfield. Through Ryan Patel at backward point. And it gets Glamorgan a boundary at the end of an over that was otherwise very, very good for the home side.
That's really frustrating for Jax. He has missed that delivery. He's come round the wicket, still trying to force the batter to take one up to long on and deep mid wicket for, well, where the boundaries are protected. He's missed his length. He allows Carlson to cut, but unfortunately for him, Ryan Patel misfields at backward point, and rather than a dot ball, it is a boundary. Surrey continue to shuffle the pack. Chris Jordan now comes into the attack.
Yeah, Chris Jordan, arguably Surrey's player of the competition so far. 12 wickets at 14, going at 6.37 runs and over across the competition, and bowling with real heat. Known for his variations, his slower balls, but so far this season he's had a lot of success bowling into the pitch at pace. Just like that. Very, very hard to get away. Keep an eye on that speed gun. He's been bowling between 85 and 90 mph, yep, 86.5 mph first up. And I suppose, Cam, that we're so used to seeing someone like Jordan play international cricket, play in the IPL, where his pace is impressive but less unusual. In the blast, there really are very few bowlers who are capable of reaching the speeds that Jordan's able to successfully bowl at. Oof. Well, that's flown through. It's beaten Evans. He got a glove to it. It's gone for 4. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like we're going to have a change here. Evans, who copped a blow to his hand earlier on in the second over.
He didn't even go for it with his left hand. He tried to take that one-handed. I'm guessing protecting his left hand. And, well, Laurie Evans is the 4th or 5th choice wicketkeeper at Surrey anyway. So it'll be very interesting to see who is going to replace him with the gloves. And you can see he's, well, very disappointed and frustrated more than anything. He's going to have to go off.
Minimal movement in the outfield for Surrey, so it's not going to be anyone currently on the park.
So, doing my maths backwards, I think the player we saw scamper off beforehand was Dan Lawrence, and he would have been told, we need you to put some gloves on. I reckon those Kookaburra gloves belong to Ben Folkes, because Dan Lawrence is not sponsored by Kookaburra, so he's had to find a spare set, and he's managed to get himself changed and ready to go. Right, we need Andrew Sampson. How do we find out whether Dan Lawrence has ever kept him in a professional game before?
I would be shocked if he has. Lawrence really proving his worth as an all-rounder here. Quite often a bowling option for Surrey. Jordan strikes. Horton drills one to short cover, and Jason Roy takes an excellent catch. It was straight to him, but that was hit so hard.
That is a fantastic catch from Jason Roy, because that has been hit at pace. His hands will be ringing, and you can see how he's thrown the ball up in the air afterwards. He's pretty pleased with his own work. Horton can't believe it. He's not going to hit the ball too much better this season, but somehow in cricket that means he's got to go.
Yeah, he struck that really well, and Jason Roy off camera at the moment showing just how much that hurt his right hand. He's holding it. Sorry, don't want another injury worry. But Jordan, like he's done so often this season, making the difference. Bowling at pace, bowling a hard length. So Glamorgan off to a bit of a flyer. They've let Surrey back into it. They were 46 without loss after 3.3 overs. An over later, 55 for 2.
Well, Dan Lawrence, just in that break for the wicket, was getting Nathan Smith to chuck some balls at him. Perhaps he had some beautiful form, nice flowing gloves.
Oh, and another run out. Confusion at both ends there. Miscommunication between the two batters. And both of them separately were briefly in a spot of bother at opposite ends. New man at the crease, Ben Kellaway, who made headlines for bowling with both arms in professional cricket, but has had a really fine year as a batter too in the blast. Striking at 152 and having an outstanding championship campaign as well. 4 runs off the first 5 balls of the over, but none off the bat.
Fine over here from Jordan. Kellaway debuted his left arm orthodox spin here at the Kia Oval last year. He's had a very, very good season with bat and ball.
Ball in front of square and he gets off the mark with a boundary. Doesn't strike it totally smoothly, but it is hit over the infield and there's no one patrolling that leg side boundary, so he gets off the mark and picks up 4.
Well, despite just 4 runs coming off the bat that over, there was 9 runs in total. So even with the slight hiccups for Glamorgan, where they've lost 2 wickets quickly, the runs are still flowing. They're going at just under 12 runs and over. We've got 1 more over left of the power play. It's going to be the captain, Sam Curran, to bowl.
Surrey's captain, number 58, Sam Curran.
Yeah, change everywhere in the Surrey bowling attack. Curran into Carlson. Skipper to skipper. Another quick run. Yeah, we complimented the Glamorgan running early on, and then lo and behold, a couple of balls later, there's a run out. It's not just any run out, it's the guy who's scored almost all the runs. It's quite a high risk thing if you think about it in a T20 game. You're only winning 1 run and you're potentially sacrificing a wicket.
That's why kind of the way that the West Indies changed T20 cricket in particular. Was they realised very simply that 6 was more than 1. So where I remember interviewing Rodman Powell after England went to the West Indies a couple of years ago on a white ball tour, and Rodman Powell was saying very genuinely, he was saying, well, the English lads are better than us at kind of turning 1s into 2s, and we're better at hitting it for 6. And they kept on winning.
Ace off from Curran. And a reminder, if you're just joining us, that Surrey women have qualified for the Blast Finals Day that's here at the Kia Oval in just over 2 weeks' time. Sunday, July the 27th. 2 games. Kicks off with 2nd versus 3rd, and then we have the final. Can Surrey win Finals Day on home turf? July 27th, get involved. Cut behind square on the offside, and that runs away for 4. Really good shot from Carlson. Had to be precise with where he placed it. Protection deep.
That was the only really angle he could play that shot at and find the boundary. He was almost guided that just to Ryan Patel's right. By just sneaking it past the fielder at backward points, he also beats Ollie Sykes out on the boundary's edge.
Surrey have so many options with the ball. The use of Dan Lawrence as a wicketkeeper, partly illustrative of that, someone who bowls a lot in T20 cricket when required.
See on your screens there, it says Will Jacks is 1.5 overs through his work. I can assure you it's Sam Curran. That will be fixed shortly, I'm sure.
Another quick single. This will be tight. Direct hit would have been interesting. They get home safely. 7 runs from Sam Curran's first over. And Glamorgan a 66 for 2 at the end of the power play. It's been an eventful power play. Let's have a look at some of the highlights so far. Will Smale came racing out the blocks for the home side. Got to 37 of 17, 5 4s and 2 6s in his 17-ball stay in the middle. Some beautiful orthodox shots, but also some unorthodox laps to short fine leg. Run out though, and since then Surrey have got back into the contest. Chris Jordan moving Horton for 1 and just slowing the Glamorgan momentum somewhat, but overall a very good start for the visitors, who are going at 11s.
So now the field will spread for Surrey. They're able to have 5 fielders outside of the 30-yard circle.
They've been very good in the middle overs this competition. Jordan doing what we're currently seeing him do, but also they've been blessed to have the overseas world-class spin options of first Mitchell Santner and now Adam Zampa. Reeled past mid-off before, timed really nicely from Kellaway. It's a second boundary against Jordan. And just some much needed for momentum for Glamorgan after losing 2 wickets in quick succession.
He's missed his length here, Jordan, because he has mid-on and mid-off up in the 30-yard circle, which suggests he'll be bowling kind of length, back of a length, to force the batters to play square of the wickets. But when he just got a bit too full, Kellaway was able to drive him down the ground and find a boundary. So we are going to have a change in the field. Long on is going to drop out, and that fielder at fine leg comes into the ring. So will we see Kellaway go for that ramp shot as well?
It's what we were talking about earlier. If you show that you have that ramp shot, as Kellaway gets off strike, and come back for 2. If you show that you have that ramp shot, it forces fine leg to be on the boundary rope. And it means that someone else who would ordinarily be on the boundary has to come inside the ring. And that's what Smale was able to do early on. Can Kellaway do the same? Mid-on currently back at long on.
I remember Matt Roller of ESPN Cricinfo wrote an article about Harry Brook a number of years ago, when Brook was really kind of emerging on the scene as the kind of talented generational player that he is. And he interviewed a lot of his opponents, and the number one thing they said was that he had that ramp shot in his locker, and all analysis about batters will have a little checklist and it will say kind of scoop, tick or cross. He has a tick next to his name, and it means you have to bring other fielders up into the ring.
That's the delivery that's been so hard to get away against Jordan this season. A stretch bowling to Joe Denley here a few weeks ago. Denley, who went on to bat really well that day, just couldn't get going against Jordan at all.
Well, I've had confirmation. I put out the call to CricViz's Ben Jones. Has Dan Lawrence ever played as a wicketkeeper in a professional match before? The answer is no. This is his debut with the gloves.
Huge.
So a special day here in South London.
History being made here at the Kia Oval. Jordan to finish his second over. And beats Kellaway, maybe a little bit of movement.
Wonderful technique from Dan Lawrence with the gloves behind the stumps. Interesting that he's gone for the pads underneath the trousers. I wonder whether that's just because Ben Folkes, the only ones he has on available, the white ones for the county championship. You see there, glides into the hands. Now we're going to get to see him up to the stumps because we're going to see a bit of spin. Adam Zampa is going to come into the attack.
Yeah, this will be an altogether different test for Lawrence behind the stumps. I think often in T20 cricket, when there's a lot of pace being bowled, the keeper doesn't have an awful lot to do. That's very, very different when they're standing up to the stumps against a mystery spinner. Big moment in the game here. Aussie overseas star Zampa on for the first time. Glamorgan off to a flyer, 75 for 2 after 7. Starts with a wide, and that's actually a very, very good take.
Great work from Dan Lawrence. I'm very invested in this. It's like when the third choice goalkeeper plays. You don't get to see it too often.
Slower and tossed up from Zampa. Yeah, throughout the season so far, when Santner was in the Surrey team, he was just able to race through 4 overs without conceding often more than 20. And any momentum that the visitors would have from the first 6 overs would go away very quickly in that middle over period. Maybe the dynamic is slightly different here, given how quickly Glamorgan started.
Absolutely.
He might look at the 4 overs of Zampa and the 2 overs that Chris Jordan has remaining and think, actually, let's just get through them without causing too much damage. And they'll still be in a good place to launch an assault come the end of the innings.
I think you're right, Yaz. If you look at that current run rate, it's still north of 10 and over. So if you can take Zampa for 30, say, go at 7.5 and over, not take too many risks, you put yourself in a really strong position for the rest of the innings.
I suppose it's how comfortable are they with overs like this so far? 3 runs off the first 4 overs. Are they comfortable if Zampa bowls well with giving him 4 overs, none for 18? They've bought themselves the option of that being acceptable with that fast start. Big appeal for LBW and given. Flatter, quicker delivery from Zampa. Hurries the Glamorgan skipper Carlson, who has to depart for 18.
That looked like a very good shout from Surrey. Zampa and Lawrence went up. Dan Lawrence hadn't moved from behind the stumps. And umpire Martin Saggers raised his finger. It was a difficult innings for Kieran Carlson. Goes for an almost runnable 18. And Surrey just clawing this back for the first time this innings. We see that run rate dip below 10 and over. And having spoken about maybe there won't be too many risks taken against Adam Zampa, well, to the contrary, no risks were taken, but a wicket was lost.
I think that's exactly it with Zampa. He's so skillful that it's not just a case of being able to see him out. He's able to strike and be a wicket-taking threat, even when you're, as a batting unit, not looking to go particularly aggressively to him. As we take a look at the replay, Cam, you giving that in the commentary box?
I've both given it, and I'd want another look just to see if it was potentially sliding a little bit. I liked Dan Lawrence's confidence, though. He walked forward. He kind of did the cerebral backwards. I can never say that word.
That's because it's not a word.
That is true.
Now, possibly the key man with the bat for Glamorgan, Colin Ingram, in at 5. Vastly experienced former South African international. 375th T20 game, is 125th in the blast, and respectfully defends the final ball of a very good first Adam Zampa over. 3 runs from it. Glamorgan now 78 for 3.
Well, if I'm allowed my weekly plug of the Surrey Championship and the very local news, Colin Ingram started his career in England, playing in these parts. He was the overseas for my own childhood club, Spencer. So I remember being 13, 14, being coached by Colin Ingram. And Glamorgan were here last year, and I saw him getting on the bus, and I had to go. I went up, tapped him on the shoulder, and he very politely pretended to remember who I was.
Tom Curran on from the Vauxhall end, replacing Chris Jordan. Oh, beats the outside edge. A shot not played with total conviction. Quite pokey from Kellaway.
I thought Kellaway might have just got the smallest of edges on that. No interest from the Surrey players.
3 fielders out on the leg side. Expect Curran to bowl straight, and probably back of a length. For the first time this innings, we have a right-hand, left-hand partnership. The oldest Curran brother immediately going around the wicket to Colin Ingram.
It's indicative of the depth of this Surrey bowling attack. We've already had 7 bowlers on show today. We're just into the 9th over. Only Chris Jordan and now Tom Curran have bowled more than one.
I think that wicket of Carlson changed things a little bit for Glamorgan. But equally, you won't want to lose too much momentum. You were saying literally just an over ago that, well, that run rate is above 10. Well, it's falling towards 9. We're still in the first half of an innings. Don't want to be 4 down before the halfway mark. It's edged and it runs away for 4. A welcome boundary for Glamorgan. Ingram off the mark. Not totally convincing, but he won't mind. He's up and running.
But it's so short in that direction. Adam Zampa down the boundary had absolutely no chance. Sprinting after it, but it was fine enough that Glamorgan get a much needed boundary. And Ingram's away. He scores his first runs of the evening.
That's been nailed. We talked about that side being the longer side, and that's comfortably cleared the rope. Pulled for 6. If Ingram's first boundary wasn't totally convincing, that one sure was.
The ease in Ingram's power here is phenomenal. He's picked it up from about knee height, and that's a big hit. I know that it only looks like it's gone 2 or 3 rows back, but the first row is about 15 rows back.
Also, looking at the replay, where has the power come from? That's no more than a short arm jab. It's gone miles. Front foot no ball from Tom Curran. So not only is that an extra couple of runs to the Glamorgan total, that will also be a free hit. This over started really well for Curran. 1 run from the first 3 balls, but it's been 12 off the last 2 legal deliveries.
It's remarkable how quickly momentum can shift in the shortest format. Glamorgan were in a bit of a pickle 3 deliveries ago, and here Ingram with a free hit could lift them up towards 100.
Pace off. They'll think about 2. And Kellaway sprints back 4-2. So a very, very good over for Glamorgan. 15 runs from it. Morgan 93 for 3. And I think we're in exactly the same place as we were 2 overs ago with Zampa, with Glamorgan now up above 10 runs and over. And especially considering they lost that wicket of Carlson, they have a bit more room to be a bit more respectful to Adam Zampa. But as we saw in the last over that he bowled, showing Zampa respect is no guarantee that you preserve your wicket.
Well, I was interested that Surrey have continued with Zampa from this end. The leg side boundary with the left-hander on strike, currently it's Kellaway, but Ingram will be able to target that very short straight boundary to his leg side with the ball spinning back into him. I thought there might be a chance that Surrey continue to chop and change their bowling attack, but they've plugged Zampa in, They might run him through this middle part of the innings.
What makes Zampa so effective, Cam, is one of the most in-demand white ball wrist spinners in the world. He's a double world champion with Australia in 20-over cricket, 50-over cricket. What does he do that most leg spinners don't do? This will be a test though. Bowling to Ingram, the left-hander, with that short leg side boundary and the ball spinning into him.
Well, surprisingly, Ingram goes for the reverse. There's only 4 fielders on that offside. They packed the leg side field with 5 fielders to protect that short side. I think where it began, at least for Zampa, is just how impressive his wrong un was.
Kellaway uses his feet and finds that short offside boundary, picks up 4. Good aggression shown from the Glamorgan youngster against the established Aussie overseas star.
Well, it was that wrong, and it was the googly, whether Kellaway picked it or otherwise. He's picked it up over cover.
Flatter. And pulled firmly. And in the end, really good work in the deep.
Jamie Overton there. Moving well for a big man. Got himself down, prevented the boundary. But I remember speaking to some people who faced Adam Zampa very early in his career. And they spoke about him in terms of the difference between his leg break and his googly. They'd go, leg break, yep, good delivery, fine, I understand he's a professional cricketer, it's going to be good. But the wrong end sounded different, it looked different, it was unusual, and that was the kind of his super strength, for use of modern parlance, that set him aside from everyone else.
Ingram looks to use his feet this time, and that's comfortably cleared the rope for 6. Cam teed it up earlier in the over, risk bowling a leg spinner, spinning the ball into a left-hander with a short leg side boundary. And for the second time in the over, a Glamorgan batter has looked to use their feet against Zampa and been rewarded with a boundary. Very, very good over for Glamorgan.
It's probably quite similar for Ingram playing here at the Oval with these boundary dimensions as it would be for him at the Swarlock as well. That's a very unusual ground. It's incredibly large square but very short straight. And so when facing a spinner who's probably going to be naturally inclined to drag their length back, using your feet to get down the wicket and get closer to the pitch of the balls is such an effective way of run scoring, and he showed it there.
Skied into the air. Take an excellent catch from Jamie Overton, running around from cover, takes it not far off the bowler's mark. And a well-needed breakthrough for Surrey. Glamorgan just had a very good couple of overs. Kellaway departs for 22.
Surrey have taken 2 very professional catches this innings. That may have looked easy from Jamie Overton, sliding on his knees and comfortable. He didn't have to dive, what's the problem? But I can assure you that's an incredibly technical, difficult catch, where Overton's having to run with the ball dropping over his shoulder. He's chasing after it. You're not quite sure where you are. You're not quite sure where the ball is. And eventually it's settled in those very, very large hands of his to go along with Jason Roy's lightning sharp catch earlier on in the innings. Surrey, well, in the field at least, they're doing their part.
It's a very, very good catch because he had a lot of ground to cover, and often you see someone who has ground to cover afforded time at the very last moment where they can settle themselves. He was still making ground at the last moment, sliding in, get to the ball. It's an intriguing innings this, because Glamorgan's run rate is really good, 10.62 runs and over, but they have lost 4 wickets and we're 1 ball past the halfway point. Will this result in a change of plan, change of approach? Asa Tribe, the new man in.
Dot ball for Sam Curran, the second delivery of his over. Asa Tribe had been playing in the World Cup qualifiers kind of earlier this week for Jersey. His nation narrowly missed out on qualifying for the T20 World Cup next year. But a nation who didn't miss out was Italy. They will be going to their first ever T20 World Cup. Slashed away for what should just be a single. Tribe thinks about two, decides against it. I'm Cameron Punsonby. I'm joined by Yaz Rana here on the Surrey live stream. Glamorgan have got off to a flying start. Run rate of almost 10.5 and over at the halfway point, but they've lost almost half their wickets as well. So a game in the balance so far. With the left-handed Colin Ingram on strike with a huge leg side boundary out to his well leg side.
Dan Lawrence was complimenting his glove work earlier. Good game awareness there, realising at the last moment they only had 3 men in the ring.
Good length from Curran, tucking up Ingram. And for those of you who are tuning in, going, did I just hear Dan Lawrence being referred to as the wicket keeper? Laurie Evans, himself a part-time wicket keeper, busted a finger earlier on in the piece. And Dan Lawrence, for the first time in his professional career, has got the gloves on. It's a lovely shot from Colin Ingram, but it brings about just 1 run. Do you reckon GM, the sponsors of Dan Lawrence, they're going to have a word with him? He's repping the Kookaburra Gears now, or is he forgiven for in such a moment of emergency?
I'm sure they'll forgive him. It's interesting though how Surrey would have identified who their reserve keeper would actually be.
Chipped just back over Sam Curran. They'll scamper through for 1. A very good over for Surrey comes to an end. Just 3 runs off it and the wicket of Kellaway. The score after 11 overs. It's all the ones. 111 for 4 off 11 overs.
He's been very tidy so far. So 1 really good take down the leg side, and it looks like what you said in the previous over about Zampa potentially not loving the pavilion end to the left-handed Ingram. That's come to fruition. Change of ends. Potentially Nathan Smith into the attack from the pavilion end. Just a 1 over up front for Smith. Found some early movement.
Surrey's change of bowling. It's brought to you by SSE Energy Solutions. Get the whole team involved and score big with sustainable energy solutions. We've got 4 fielders out on the leg side. No one in on the ring on that leg side, so expect it to be straight and expect it to potentially be short as well. Full and outside off. You can't win them all.
Yeah, it's an interesting field in that there's a massive gap on the leg side between long on, who's fairly straight, deep mid-wicket, who's fairly square. So if Smith pulls his length back, there's a vast space for the right-handed Tribe to target with a pull shot.
Tucked into that leg side area. It should just be 1. And this time Glamorgan run through safely. Martin Saggers, the umpire, just had a word with Asa Tribe, the last ball, for running down the wicket. And there had been a moment where Kieran Carlson, the skipper, earlier on in the innings, had effectively had to sprint a single and done it all the way down the middle of the track. So Tribe might have been paying the price for the sins of his captain rather than his own indiscretions. You see him just on screen there, checking with Saggers that everything's all right, that they're still mates. Punched out to that cover sweep for 1 more run, so another tight delivery for Surrey. Be interesting to see where Surrey do turn to. Well, here we go. So Tribe just sets off. Well, I think fair cop.
That was the middle of the pitch.
That was the middle of the cricket pitch. Single taken up to long on. Surrey will have a bit of a decision to make, Yaz, in terms of who takes the gloves for their remaining group stage matches. Because in effect, you've got Ben Folkes, who's played one T20 game in the last 3 years, or you've got Josh Blake. Those are the kind of remaining wicket keepers in the squad. Jamie Smith and Ollie Pope, well, they're busy playing for England. Laurie Evans has busted his hand, so we'll see where Surrey turn to.
Or you have Dan Lawrence.
Well, they go for a quick single. Chris Jordan shies at the stumps and misses. I wonder if Dan Lawrence is even interested in taking on the job. It might be quite a sensible thing for him just towards the end of this innings, after doing the job competently, just to drop one. I can't possibly do this again, guys.
He's an all-rounder, but at the same time, with Will Jacks back in the fold, he is the second off-spinner and third spinner, so his bowling isn't required as much as it normally is.
Short. Appeal for caught behind. Lawrence wasn't interested. Adam Zampa and Nathan Smith were.
I think that was one of those appeals where you give the umpire something to think about when they might be thinking about giving a wide.
Well, we'll have a look at it here. Has it snuck down the leg side? Has it gone over his head? Maybe a bit of both. It's a dot ball. It's the end of the over. 115 for 4.
Looks like you were bang on, Cam, about Zampa's preference. He's on, but from the Vauxhall end. So when he's bowling to Ingram, the ball will be turning into him. But Ingram now has that vast leg side boundary to the gas holder side of the ground.
That short pulls out to that big square leg boundary, and because the ball landed on the square, it skips away. And Ingram's playing a little gem here, 26 off 13, keeping that run rate up for Glamorgan. They move on to 119 for 4.
Well, we were talking about what makes Zampa such a good leg break bowler in T20 cricket earlier on, and he's normally so accurate, targets sort of bail length, but gets his length slightly wrong this time, just a little bit too short, and it allows Ingram to get in a position not to just pull the ball, but pull the ball really hard into that gap.
Just dropped into the leg side. It's big vacant area, so they are able to come back for 2. Often when you see cricketers do that, they've had to be really cute with how they've kind of timed or mistimed the ball. But you've got Jamie Overton and Chris Jordan, 2 fast men, and they're about 90 yards away from the batters at the crease, so it's quite easy to take 2 to them at the moment. Takes the inside edge, and this time it will just be 1.
They're also very deep because we've seen Ingram's power already, not just that 4 of Zampa early in the over, but he hit 6 off Tom Curran towards that longer side of the ground. I think with some players with a boundary of that length against a bowler like Zampa, you might not think they're taking it on. So the fielders on the rope are in 5 or 10 actually protecting 2 rather than saving boundaries.
Well, Zampa does go leg side, even with the right-handed Acer Tribe able to target that short leg side boundary, but it just goes for 1 run.
Morgan doing really well here. Still attacking against Zampa. 8 runs from the first 4 balls of his 3rd over. Going up more than 9 runs and over overall. And despite losing 4 wickets pretty much in the first half of the innings, they've still been pretty aggressive. So that required run rate, just the run rate was dropping, still over 9.5 runs and over.
You've covered more of the men's Vitality Blast fixtures than I have this year. What's kind of been roughly a pass score here at the Kia Oval? Are Glamorgan on track for kind of a record score of the season, or has this been about normal? That's 4 more. Again, Zampa misses his length, and Tribe's able to get back quick enough to hit the ball in front of square and make sure he avoids those boundary fielders, aiming to keep it to 1. A good over again for Glamorgan. 13 runs off it. The score's 128 for 4. The run rate is almost as good as 10 and over. Yaz, how are Glamorgan doing? How are they tracking?
I think they're doing really well. It's hard to say because this run of games being played in slightly different conditions to what we had earlier in the season. We had a little break 2 weeks of the championship. We've had such good weather. It's been really dry. It's been hot. The conditions probably slightly different, but we've seen some pretty high scores. Surrey batting first against Sussex in mid-June, scoring 210 in 20 overs. And the televised game against Middlesex, scoring 194. And in the game against Essex that was played on Sunday on the same strip, 12 overs aside, Surrey scored 141 and lost.
Nathan Smith. It's full. Ingram pushes it out to the offside for 1 run.
So it has been relatively high scoring.
Well, I hope those of you listening and watching from home were able to overhear the DJ's choice then. I'll watch Shazam out quickly. The Noisettes, Go Baby Go from 2009. I haven't heard that in 6 years. I enjoyed it greatly. It'll be on the Spotify playlist for my journey home. Tribe just gives himself some room. Smith follows him and the batter's only able to force the ball up to long on for 1 more. Nathan Smith's been such an impressive signing for Surrey this season. It was a very modern day overseas signings by Worcestershire last year, where they basically signed someone who wasn't the household name. That's punched down the ground by Ingram. It beats mid-off. It might beat long on. Jason Roy does well to sweep around and keep it to 2. Well, in effect, if you're a county, you don't really want someone to be that successful an international cricketer. You want them to be a very successful domestic cricketer who hasn't been picked for their nation yet. And that was the boat that Nathan Smith was in last year. He then put in some fantastic performances for Worcestershire, made it to the New Zealand squad, and Surrey went, we'll have a bit of him.
Yeah, and crucially, very available. That's the key. Sometimes you might look at some overseas county signings and you might be a little bit underwhelmed. There might not be players who played international cricket. If they have, they've not done so for a very long time. The reason why counties do that is because one virtue that they hold above pretty much everything else is availability. So if you can get, especially a seam bowling all-rounder, we've seen it in the championship as well, he's really fit, he plays a lot of games, has long spells, can maintain his pace across the long spell.
Pulled into that leg side, straight to the fielder in the deep.
Always provides extra batting depth too.
He's an archetypal Surrey player. Seam bowler who'll score you runs from 8. Surrey've basically won 3 titles in a row by having 11 of them.
There's a similar construction to their T20 side at the moment. Talk about the 7 bowling options that we've seen so far. Throw in Dan Lawrence, who's currently keeping wicket.
That's a bouncer, it's a top edge, and it's 6. It's gone all the way and it's dropped in the crowd. People are throwing away money here at the Kia Oval. And I hope everyone's okay. Well, there's people covering their mouths. I think they're upset with their friend for not being able to buy them a few rounds at the bar. 14 overs gone here. The score is 140 for 4.
There's a man in the crowd who's genuinely distraught. His face has been in his hands for a good 15 seconds here.
As he should be. He had a free go at it. There are easy crowd catches and there are hard crowd catches. And that one, it would have been a good catch. It would have been a good catch. Well, Sam Curran is going to have a bowl. Wallop has been powered down to long off by Aces Tribe. Only the 1 run able to be scored. He just stood tall and smacked that back down the ground.
Another really good couple of overs, Cam, since the fall of Kellaway. 25 runs off the last 2 overs, and both the last 2 overs, Glamorgan have got a boundary off the last ball of that over. Sorry, not being able to keep Glamorgan quiet for very long periods of play. So here we are with that run rate approaching back up to 10 runs and over as we head into the final 6.
Well, Asa Tribe was interested in 2 there, and Colin Ingram was having none of it. I don't want to cast aspersions over the 40-year-old Colin Ingram's fitness. He's going on very nicely at the moment. Tribe on strike. Slower ball from Curran, waited on by Tribe. And that massive straight boundary comes into play again. Jordan able to pick the ball off. Colin Ingram has a quite extraordinary record in the blast for Glamorgan. 124 matches, almost 3,500 runs, an average of 33, but a strike rate of 153.
Very well dug out from Tribe, because that's a well executed Yorker from Sam Curran. We've seen a few overs like this recently where Surrey have started pretty well, 5 runs from the first 4 overs, but Glamorgan have found the boundary rope towards the end to turn it from a decent to very good over towards the end. And Ingram do the same this time round to Sam Curran.
That was tucked into the leg side, and again Asa Tribe sets off at a canter, where his senior partner Colin Ingram is happy to trot through for 1. Good over from Curran so far, and Justice Smith's over 6 balls ago had gone 5 balls without a boundary, and then that 6 came off the final ball. Glamorgan find themselves in a similar position. Will Asa Tribe look to target this over? We have the square fielders coming in. Everyone in front of the boundary, in front of square, is in, so expect a pace off delivery. And there it is. A wide ball is given, and Curran looks as if he can't believe it, but also he looks back immediately. So I think he might have known it was a bit wide.
Yeah, I think that was a fair call from the umpire. See what Curran was trying to do. Just gets his line ever so slightly wrong.
We've got the same field, so expect the same ball. Off speed, make him hit straight. Off speed, makes him hit straight. He goes into the stands. Full toss on this occasion from Sam Curran. And another 6th ball boundary is scored from Glamorgan. Hands on heads again in the crowd. What have you done? You've dropped it. That would be a very good catch. That's been hit hard into the stands.
Been hit very hard, and Curran full toss to Tribe. And with that short leg side boundary, was always likely to be punished. And as you say, 3rd over in a row where Glamorgan have found the boundary off the last ball of the over. 13 runs from that over to go with 25 in the previous 2, so 38 off the last 3. That run rate for the innings now back above 10 runs and over. And 10.1 overs in when they lost the 4th wicket, that of Ben Kellaway. You were thinking, now they lost quite a few wickets for the halfway point, but they've not only consolidated, they've managed to keep attacking.
1 run.
Another thing to think about is that Laurie Evans, we don't know if he's going to bat yet. So Surrey, at the very least, will be chasing something that's reasonably substantial. They might have to do that without one of their key middle order men.
Well, fortunately for Surrey, they bat deep. Nathan Smith at 10, Chris Jordan at 9. Adam Zampa, the only one with no real batting pedigree, and he's listed down at 11. Have a change of field. Tom Curran's coming up from fine leg into the ring. Oof. Well, Tribe saw the challenge presented to him by Jordan there. The field dictated that Jordan was kind of going to go middle of the pitch, maybe back of the length, just straight-ish. So Tribe backed away and tried to hit the ball over cover, over mid-off, where those fielders are in the ring. That's the boundary option for the right-hander. Swing and a miss, however. How that has missed, I'm not quite sure. Oof. A misfield from Curran at cover, and that is 4. It's an awkward one. It's bouncing just in front of the captain and in the footholes of those wickets. You're worried about your teeth, you're worried about your chin. And as a result, Chris Jordan's worried about his figures because 4 more runs have been scored. Oy.
Yeah, not what Jordan wanted, and it's again Glamorgan just find a boundary at an annoying time for Surrey. Good start to the over from Jordan. He'd been pretty happy with that delivery. It's gone for 4. Again, Glamorgan in a pretty good position.
Goes for the scoop, gets it. Glamorgan have played that so well this innings, and that's 6 runs. Dan Lawrence has signalled 4 to the umpire. I can tell you it went for 6. It's just below us here in the commentary box.
I think.
Tom Curran, 10 points for honesty, Tom. Because it did go over the rope by a foot or 2.
It's been given 4. I'm afraid to say that
is an incorrect decision.
We saw one in the test match today. The umpire gave 4 when it was given 6, but it's frustrating because we have the technology here to show it, and it looks like the umpires are coming together.
This would be sensible because Tom Curran signalled 6. Ryan Patel out of deep square legs saying, I don't know. Martin Saggers and James Treadwell have a chat. And looks like the original decision is going to remain. So Asa Tribe's been robbed of a couple. Hopefully it doesn't have too strong an impact at the end of this game. It's another boundary for Glamorgan, and it does prompt that field change immediately. Fine leg drops out.
Now, I'm afraid in this day and age, with the technology that we have, the number of cameras we have in this game, to not have processes to change decisions that are visibly incorrect that could have impact on this game's result, I think, yeah, it's not good enough. I'm afraid that's not on the umpires at all. Very, very difficult to see from where they are whether or not that's gone over the rope, but that very, very clearly did go over the boundary rope. Glamorgan robbed of 2 there.
I wonder what the protocols would be. I know when Sky are broadcasting a match. Straight. That's a wonderful cricket shot from Asa Tribe, and that's definitely 6. Thunders into the sight screen. There's no way that's going to be given as 4. And another excellent over for Glamorgan. They reach 170 after 16 overs. That run rate now creeping towards 11. Well, Glamorgan continue to fly.
Yeah, a little bit fools from Jordan. Tribe clears his front leg and picks up 6.
I think it's an attempted Yorker from Jordan, and he's just missed his length this time, a bit shorter than he would have anticipated. But yeah, so when Sky broadcast the match in the blast, you have the third umpire, so you're able to use that TV camera. As it stands, that is currently not the case when matches are live streamed, as we are doing live on YouTube. I'm Cameron Punsby, I'm joined by Rana. And often you wouldn't be able to have necessarily the quality of images to determine whether or not the ball had kind of kissed the boundary rope on the way over. But on that occasion, well, unfortunately, both the camera showed it and our eyes showed it. That ball had gone a long way over the rope. Heaved into the leg side. That is massive. 6 more for Glamorgan, 6 more for Ingram. It takes him to 49. And Glamorgan are flying here. They are racing on to 176, and they're finishing with a flourish.
22 runs off the last 5 deliveries. Morgan did so well to not lose their footing into this game when they lost the wicket of Kellaway 10.1 overs in. They've consolidated, and now they're attacking.
That's 4 as well. 1 over the leg side, 1 through the offside, and Colin Ingram has a half century off just 25 deliveries.
5 boundaries in the last 6 deliveries here for Glamorgan. Charging to a total well in excess of 200. And one of the things that's been most striking about this innings from Ingram is just the raw power. Twice he has comfortably cleared that longer side of the ground. And he's just got so many different boundary options. He's not waiting for balls to be in a particular area. He's able to access different parts of the ground all the time.
4 more. When will it stop for Glamorgan? They keep going. This time the boundary is found straight. So Colin Ingram is scoring runs in all different directions here in South London. One over the leg side, one through the covers, and now one in the V as well.
Yeah, nailed. It's another attempted Yorker by a Surrey bowler. And Smith just misses. It's not far off. He actually does very well to follow Ingram, who gives himself a bit of room.
That's a good cricket ball.
Yeah, it's a good ball, but it's nailed by Ingram. Power on display again.
Short, pace off, this time just helped round the corner. And a good change up from Nathan Smith, who in the last 2 balls at least, I don't think has done too much wrong.
Yeah, I would say though, that's one thing that Surrey haven't tried loads in this innings, is taking pace off the ball from the seamers. Sam Curran's tried it a few times and he's been one of the more successful Surrey bowlers today, 1 for 23 off his 3 overs. Pace on in the last 10 minutes has disappeared. Really true surface here at the Keir Oval, good pace in it, 1 short boundary.
Bit of a power position from Asa Tribe there, who steps across his stumps.
Yeah, really impressive, not this from Tribe. We were talking about Ingram's vast experience and his amazing record over the course of his career, but Tribe is a youngster who's not played a lot of first team cricket, Jersey international. He's batting in a really difficult position. You see a lot of youngsters start in the lower middle order, but it's a very difficult position to have instant success in, and he's striking in excess of 150 in the Blast this season.
Well, Ingram watches that sail over his head, and it's a wide ball given by James Treadwell. Former England captain James Treadwell, no less.
I think he captained on this ground for one
Fantastic.
game that he played. One game he captained England. Yeah, as a lower middle order player, you're reacting to different situations all the time. And you have very, very little time to get your bearings in the middle, and Tribe took 8 or 9 balls to get his eye in.
Pulled hard, square, 4. Another fantastic over for Surrey. 4 boundaries off it. Smith finishes with 0 for 49 off his 4 balls. Glamorgan are on 191. We're going to try and do some maths quickly. Yeah, you have used some thoughts and chat, and I'll do some counting.
21 runs off the over, and I think that as we have a look at some of the highlight shots from Ingram's innings so far, 62 not out, is Ingram hasn't actually been too preoccupied about the short boundary. When the ball's been there to hit, he's taken it on, and he's had the power, he's been striking the ball well enough that it doesn't matter how long and how big, how vast that boundary is, he's taken it on.
I've done the numbers. 44 runs off the last 13 balls.
Oof.
Tom Curran can have a go from the pavilion end. And that might have found the gap as well. In fact, it has. The runs just keep flowing here in South London.
Well, it's the gap we were talking about earlier on, that when a seamer is bowling from the pavilion end with this field, 3 men out on the leg side boundary, there is a vast gap between long on and deep mid-wicket. Deep mid-wicket is relatively square, long on is relatively straight, and it gives the bowler very little room for error.
Have they found it again? Jamie Overton's after it. Does well, almost kind of cue balls the ball over to Chris Jordan. Shuff Halfpenny style. You ever play that in a pub? One of those old pubs?
Not yet.
Knock a coin along. I think I played it once. I was very bad at it.
This is a game, by the way, Cam, that has a history of some very, very high-scoring games.
Short, and that's a swing and a miss. A rare dot ball for Surrey and a rare dot ball for Asa Tribe, who, well, he had been about a runnable 15. He's now 44 off 24.
So 2 of the 3 highest T20 scores in the Blast at the Keir Oval have come in Surrey Glamorgan games. So Surrey scored 238 for 5 against Glamorgan here 2 years ago.
That's 6. Must be. I can't see it, but I could hear it. And now I've picked it up into the stands, and that's a half century for Ace of Tribe. This has been fantastic batting from this Glamorgan pair on your screen now. And the man from Jersey has got his, well, second half century of the season.
Brilliant clean ball striking again. It's a long hit to the cow corner boundary.
I hope the spectator in the crowd is okay. I think there might have been, well, I think a spectator might, in fact, we'll just have a little delay in proceedings here because I think a spectator has been struck by that Ace of Tribe 6. So we hope they are doing well, and we can see the medics are on the way to provide assistance. That 6 also brought up the 200 for Glamorgan. There's still 14 deliveries left in this innings, and you can see there on screen doctors are on the way to help. We hope that everything is okay over in the SSE Energy Solutions stand over on the far side.
Yeah, very firmly struck, very flat 6 from Tribe. A reminder that Surrey have qualified for the Women's Blast Finals Day that will be held here at the Kia Oval on Sunday, July the 27th. You get 2 games on the day, second versus third, and then the final. Promises to be a very special occasion, the first year of the Women's Blast competition, culminating in that day here at the Oval on July 27th. Get involved. Can Surrey lift the title on home turf?
It's been a spectacular performance from the Surrey women's team in this year's T20. So they came as runners-up in the T20 County Cup, which was a new invention for this year, where, in effect, the FA Cup was brought to women's T20 cricket. So you had the full counties, you had the 8 Tier 1 sides, with those counties in Tier 2 as well. And I could just hear a cheer and a round of applause coming from the stand over on the far side, and that's encouraging news, as I think the medics have just helped the spectator away, and hopefully they are, well, receiving the best care available. But Surrey, having come so close in the first T20 competition of the year, have then absolutely steamrolled the second one. They're 9 wins out of 11. They salvaged a tie here at the Kia Oval earlier this week, when it looked for all money that they were going to suffer just their second defeat of the season. And the strength and depth of the squad, with so many England players away, you've seen the likes of Phoebe Franklin really rise to the occasion. Kira Chatley continues to play important hands whenever she's playing. Bryony Smith, the leader and captain of it all. It's been a wonderful competition to follow and watch. And if you are available in 2 Sundays' time, the Sunday the 27th of July, get yourself down here for finals. There'll be a fantastic day out. Right, we're back underway. Tom Curran is bowling to Ace of Tribe, and that is a big wide.
Yeah, always difficult for the batting side resuming after delay, and that was a reasonable delay as that fan was attended to. That will help Glamorgan. Extra first up. So yeah, I was going through those record-breaking scores between the two sides here. The real run fest. It will not shock you to know that Colin Ingram was the star that day. Back in 2015, 10 years ago, Glamorgan hit 243 here at the Kia Oval against Surrey. Certain Colin Ingram at 3, 91 of 47. Surrey chasing 215 all out, so 450 odd runs scored in the game. Some amazing names. Jack Rudolph captaining Glamorgan. Gareth Batty in the Surrey side. Wahab Riaz in the Surrey side. Tom Curran in the Surrey side.
That's chipped towards long on. It'll be 1 bounce to Jason Roy there at long on.
Kumar Sangakkara batting 3 for Surrey. Jason Roy opening the batting that day too for the home side. So this specific fixture has a history of really high scores, and Glamorgan going incredibly well so far today. 206 for 4, the highest ever score here at the Kia Oval in a blast game is Surrey's 252 for 7 against Middlesex 2 years ago.
Just going to have a little look at Asa Tribe's highlights here. There was the boundary that snuck through the legs of Sam Curran that really got him underway. It was a kind of tipping point from where it went from a kind of runnable stodge fest to a free-flowing boundary rampage. Here comes Sam Curran. Ingram goes for the scoop, but Sam Curran's gone pace off.
It's worked for him so far, Cam. Going at under 7 runs and over, he's a bowler who's looked to take pace off as much as possible. And something that we've seen in his repertoire this season more than previous years is he's got what I call the super slower ball, which is around about 50 miles per hour. It's good 15 miles per hour slower than
slower
ball.
It's another swing and a miss. Curran really is proving his worth this evening, where all the other economy rates are well above 10, or at least in the double digits. Sam Curran there, currently going at just around 7 runs and over. It makes sense though, because they say what makes a slower ball effective isn't actually necessarily just how slow it is in isolation, it's the difference it is to your stock delivery. There is that super slower ball that Yaz were talking about, and it was a wide, but I enjoyed it.
It's just very, very hard to generate any energy on it. And given that he can crank it up to 83, 84 mph, a massive difference in speed. The batter needs to adjust themselves for.
That's hit high. Is it hit long? It's hit very long. That is in the second tier. You can't quite see it on your screen, and that man's distraught because he was ready. He had a free go at it. Front row again, the perfect place to be for a Kia crowd catch, but he's put it down. That was massive from Colin Ingram.
That's such a big hit. Ingram's gone down the ground and he's cleared the first tier. Nearly ended up with us in the commentary box.
Oh no!
I've got to say, he didn't really fill me with confidence with that technique.
I was backing the ball. Good old Crocodiles never failed anyone. Can't believe for a moment I thought he might have just hit that up in the air, Colin Ingram. He's hit about 120 metres. That's pulled into the leg side. This time it should be out. The fielder is underneath it, yes. That big leg side boundary comes into play. Pace off from Sam Curran, and a very fine innings from Colin Ingram comes to an end. Hardly a celebration at all from Sam Curran. In fact, an almost angry shake of the head, but he has his second wicket of the night. Ingram has to go for 69 off 33. Glamorgan 213 for 5 with 8 balls remaining.
Amazing innings from Ingram. We were talking around about the halfway point. Sure, Glamorgan were going at around 10 runs and over, but they were 4 down after 10.1 overs, with Adam Zampa to bowl at least 2 or 3 overs left in his spell. Surrey with 7 international bowlers on display today. Would Glamorgan look to just knock it round for a few overs? It's not really what they've done. They've just kept on attacking, and against this international class Surrey attack, Ingram has been brilliant.
Well, more power arrives at the crease for Glamorgan. Douthwaite, who was a junior here at Surrey, returning to play against his former side. That's pulled into the leg side. It should land safely, and does. Just 1 run added to the total.
Yeah, it's an eventful over, but pretty handy so far from Sam Curran, given that we're the penultimate over. 8 runs and the dismissal of Colin Ingram so far. But it's that crucial final ball that has been so costly for Surrey so far this innings. Plenty of boundaries off the final ball of an over.
Short. There's that edge. No. Just a dot ball to finish. 19 overs gone. 1 to go. And the score's 214 for 5.
Very good final figures for Sam Curran. 4 overs, 2 for 31, going at under 8 runs and over when the opposition are going at more than 11. Just a mark of how well Glamorgan have gone. I am sure this was not plan A for Surrey. Adam Zampa bowling his 4th and final over in the final over of the innings.
Well, it snuck past us, Yaz, because I looked down at the scorecard and I went, hang on, Zampa's only bowled 3. But with the left-handed Ingram now gone, they'll be more happy to bowl Zampa from the pavilion end without that short leg side boundary at play. So Zampa to bowl of the death over here. Dan Douthwaite on strike. And that's out. So plan B works for Surrey. As Adam Zampa bowling the 20th over for what can't be... Well, he can't have done it very many times in his career. He might pick up some cheapies just to close out this innings.
Yeah, I don't think he'll mind that the game situation dictates that Glamorgan will really take him on here. Sure, he's been relatively expensive so far, but Glamorgan were calculated in their risks against him. We're talking about there not being a left-hander at the crease camp. That wicket of Dan Douthwaite brings Pakistan all-rounder Imad Wasim, well-spawned Pakistan all-rounder Imad Wasim to the middle.
Well, I just wonder if this was a new plan from Glamorgan, because in the back of the shot there, where we had Dan Douthwaite getting bowled, we had Imad Wasim walking down the stairs with his batting kit. The wicket falls and he goes, I'll go. So whether it's potentially a change in the batting order for Glamorgan. It might not be, but I like to think it was. He goes for that short leg side boundary, but we'll only get 1. Asa Tribe decides, rather than trying to scamper back for 2, he'll be best placed to take on these final 4 deliveries.
That's interesting there, because they could have looked for that second run, and even if they didn't make it, keep Wasim on strike with that shorter leg side boundary. But Asa Tribe is seeing it very well, 51 off 27.
That's hit out into the leg side, has found the gap, and that's 1 bounce over the rope. So more runs for Asa Tribe. He moves on to 55, and the first boundary of this final over has been scored. And this Glamorgan total, well, it's going from big to a bit of a monster. 219 runs on the board now. That's 11 runs and over that they've scored, and they've still got 3 balls to go. Appeal for LBW not given. Asa Tribe just trying to find that gap behind square on the leg side. Because Zampa has been bowling typically outside off stump, looking to get the batter to drag the ball in front of square on the leg side. There was no fielders behind square on the boundary. Flat batted for 1 more run up to Chris Jordan at long off. So 1 ball remaining here at the Kia Oval of Glamorgan's innings. They're on 221 for 6. It's been a fantastic effort from the visiting side. Another example of high-scoring cricket here at the Kia Oval, and at the Kia Oval between these 2 teams. Down the track, hit towards long on. Well, Imad Wasim didn't run, which is an interesting tactic on the last ball. So there's only 1 run scored at the end of what's been a very eventful innings here in South London. Glamorgan finish on 222 for 6. I'll just check to see that scorecard ticks over at all. No, that's your lot for the visiting team. And well, Yaz, they must feel pretty well placed at the end of that tough couple of hours.
Well, intent is a word that's used a lot in T20 cricket. Glamorgan showed intent throughout this innings. They started so quickly through Will Smell, got them off to a flyer, but they kept coming. They lost 4 wickets in the first 10.1 overs, and that didn't deter them. Colin Ingram, 69 off 33. Asa Tribe, 56 off 30. Really, really impressive knock from the Glamorgan youngster. It's Glamorgan's 6th highest score ever in T20 cricket. And when you score more than 220, you're always in with a pretty good chance of winning the game.
So you can see the scorecard on your screen there. The bowling figures for Surrey, well, it wasn't a very pretty day for Surrey's bowlers. Nathan Smith conceding 49 runs. Tom Curran conceding 45 of just 3 overs. But the stars of the show down at the bottom, the 6th and 7th bowlers of the innings. Sam Curran with 2 for 31 of his 4 overs, and Adam Zampa taking 2 for 38. The tail of the tape, when it all comes out in the wash, is mixed metaphors. Don't do that, Cam. 222 for 6. It'll be 223 for Surrey to win. But in the break here between innings, we're going to have the Kia high catch. And I can tell you there's a man in pads out in the middle who's going to try and catch some tennis balls that are launched in from about 100 metres away. And I'm not backing him.
Guys, this is my favourite bit between the innings when we play the Kia High Catch Challenge. Now, for you that were here early, you would have seen on the screen me surprise Tom, who was set up by his mate Dom. This is Tom. They're making me feel even shorter than I am at 5'6". Dom, you emailed the Kia Oval. What did you say in your email?
I said, young Tom's getting married in a couple of weeks' time, and he's one of the most uncoordinated people I've ever met in my whole entire life. There's 3 things he loves: Alicia, Surrey, and Cornwall.
And also, he's in the gear, but we think he might have no idea. But you're going to prove us wrong, Tom. We have got 12 balls coming from the top of the Kia Oval. For every ball you catch, in the audience, we will give away a prize for every ball he catches, everyone! Hey! Guys, you're going to get a prize. Are we excited? So here's what's going to happen. When the ball fires, crowd, I want you to go, oh! If he catches it, we scream. If he misses it, we go, oh, Tom. So what do we do, guys? When the ball goes, we go, oh! Stand by. Let's do the first ball. We are looking up. We are looking here for it. Stay there, Tom. It's going to come from up there, our man in the machine. I'm going to get out of the way. There he is, the man with his hand up. Let's go, sir. Here we go. Oh, Tom. Here comes your second one, guys. Here we go. Oh, Tom. Don't worry, 3rd time lucky. Here we go. Stand by. Oh, you were close, see? Right. 4th one. Here we go. Let's do the... Oh, Tom! So close. Ball number 5. Here it comes. Oh! We're halfway. Okay, currently, no one's won anything. Here we go. Oh! Tom, you didn't even make an effort for that one. What are we on now? Tom! Nearly. Dom, you're right. He's really bad. Okay, we go. Oh, that was over. Fair enough. How many more we got? 4 more. Okay. Oh, you got it. Yeah! It's a good job this wasn't a 6 and you lost £1,000 there. Okay. Oh. Shall we say we got 2 balls left? Hold on. We got 2 balls left. Let's send Dom in. Dom, go and help him for the second one. Here we go. Here's your penultimate one. Oh! No. Right, last one. Oh! We got it. Oh, Tom, guys. Guys, give him a round of applause for trying. Tom and Dom, everyone. Take a bow. Guys, that was bleak. DJ Tony, raise the spirits, let's go! And then we'll go to Sam now, who's got some news for us. Hey, Sam.
Welcome back to the Kia Oval as Surrey are about to embark on a run chase of 223 runs. I'm Cameron Punsonby. I'm joined by Wisden, Yaz, Rana, and we're going to talk you through what could be a historic run chase on a sunny summer's evening in South London. There's a gentle breeze going across the ground from right to left as we are looking at it from the Vauxhall end. And looks like we're going to have spin, or at least a bit of slowish seam to get us underway. Keeper's already up to the stumps. You can see the fans down the top of the SSE Energy Solutions basking in the late evening sun. It's an evening of cliches here, Yaz, Rana. We had lots of sixes. We've got a few drinks on the go in the stands. We've got a long summer's evenings. Cricket is the best.
We've seen a lot of entertainment so far today. Brilliant batting throughout that Glamorgan innings. 222. We saw one of the great figures of the blast, Colin Ingram. We also saw a couple of youngsters really impress us. Young Will Smale and Asa Tribe. Two homegrown players for Glamorgan. They're doing really well at the moment. Against a star-studded side. An almighty effort.
Well, all action start, just one run, but well fielded by Ned Leonard at mid-off. Swansea-born Imad Wasim going to be starting proceedings here from the Vauxhall end. Now Ryan Patel on strike, opening the batting in place of Dom Sibley. He doesn't get opportunities in the T20 Blast very often. Just his 9th game in 7 years here at Surrey. Starts with a dot, as that ball was just skewed back to the bowler.
He's got a brilliant record in the 50-over competition, though, averaging 45 at strike rate above 90. It's a very difficult Surrey T20 side to break into. Real opportunity at the top of the order today.
Well, that's out. Bowled. Imad strikes early and Glamorgan are on the board. And a difficult task for Surrey gets that bit harder. Well, just the 2 balls for Ryan Patel on his return to the Surrey T20 side, and that'll be desperately disappointing for the left-hander, but a dream start for Glamorgan.
Yeah, early wicket for Imad Wasim. Early wicket for me in the commentary box as well. Imad Wasim, star overseas player, so much experience. This is his 397th T20 appearance, his 368th T20 wicket. So frugal at this point in the innings, bowling his left arm spin, bowling it at a decent pace, career economy rate of under 7 runs per over. Can be really hard to get away, and now he's got the left-hander out, so he'll be bowling. He's got the match-up in his favour, theoretically. Spinning the ball away from the 2 right-handers, Will Jackson, Jason Roy in at 3.
Something to watch out for when Imad is bowling is the curve and the drift he gets on the ball. It's not just the spin off the surface, it's the amount of revolutions he gets on it, so it curves and dips on its way down to the batter. Jason Roy on strike. Oh, well, that's a horrible delivery.
Gets away with it. This is a guy who's got a T20I economy rate of 6.2 runs and over. If he can get through his spell today, only giving away 24 or 25 runs, then Morgan will be laughing.
Roy is off the mark, pushes 1 ball down to long on for a single. And keep an eye on that run rate required for Surrey, because when it starts at 11, it goes up very, very quickly. Another dot ball. This is an excellent start from Imad. In fact, that's the over. Our scoreboard was a ball behind. It's 2 for 1 after 1, and Glamorgan have the perfect start.
Yeah, effectively makes it a 19-over run chase. Just 2 runs from the first over. 221 runs still to get.
Not to mention, it'll be a surprise if we do see Laurie Evans bat. So you could argue that Surrey are effectively 2 for 2.
A lot of runs to get. We have seen a massive score chase down here. We're talking about the higher scores at the Oval in the Blast before. Middlesex chased 252 against Surrey 2 years ago. So it has happened on this ground in the recent past. Saying, oh, it's been a high-scoring competition anyway. You'd expect conditions to be more batting-friendly today, given the weather that we've had over the last couple of weeks. Got a short boundary on one side of the ground. There are runs there. Surrey have got a lot of them to get.
Ned Leonard in, and that's cut away through the offside, and it should beat the sweeper. It does. 4 runs, the first boundary of Surrey's innings. Jason Roy's innings gets underway proper after a single to get him off the mark.
Yeah, it's a really interesting aspect of the Glamorgan innings was how Surrey's storied seam attack, full of international experience, 5 international seamers on display. Sam Curran aside, they all really struggled for control. So it'll be a real test for the Glamorgan seamers to see, can they rein in this Surrey batting lineup. I actually wonder, Cam, one of the underrated advantages in T20 cricket when you bat first is you get to have a look at what works and what doesn't work for the bowlers. And interestingly, second ball from Ned Leonard takes pace off the ball. The only Surrey bowler to do that consistently was Sam Curran, and he ended up with the best figures of the Surrey seamers.
That's another dot for Surrey. It's a really good start for Glamorgan. as we said at the top of the show, Glamorgan are currently in 4th, so they're on just the edge of securing that spot in the quarter-final. So a win will mean almost a lot more to them than it does for Surrey. So for Surrey, it almost kind of takes it further to confirming their places in the quarter-finals. For Glamorgan, it will be kind of seismic victory in the course of their season. Out, what a catch, wow. That is absolutely phenomenal from Dan Douthwaite. How that stuck in his hands, I do not know. Jason Roy took a smart catch of his own in the first innings. This one is 10 times, if not 20 times better. Phenomenal flying catch from Douthwaite, and Surrey is 6 for 2.
Very, very slow trudge off the square from Jason Roy, because he won't believe that he had to depart after hitting that ball so firmly, but not just firmly, several yards to the right of Dan Douthwaite at a catching cover. And Cam's right, Roy took a brilliant catch himself in the Glamorgan innings, but that one was quite close to him. This time, Douthwaite diving to his right.
Oh my goodness.
That is an amazing catch, truly amazing. Fitting celebration. He knew how special it was.
There's something particularly joyous when the professional cricketer celebrates like a child. A big beaming smile came over Dan Douthwaite's face. He knew he'd done something special, and he'd had a lot of fun in doing so. Surrey 2 down, and again, Laurie Evans probably not going to be fit to bat. We need confirmation of that. Are they effectively 3 down? The skipper, Sam Curran, is in already. Just 1.4 overs bowled, 10 deliveries, and Surrey are already 2 down.
It's an amazing catch, but it's such an important breakthrough as well. Roy in good form, obviously brilliant international career with England in both white ball formats. Surrey to now get 217 more runs without Ryan Patel and without Jason Roy. That is an almighty task for the hosts. That required run rate already pretty much 2 runs a ball.
Well, this is exactly the issue you have when you lose early wickets in T20 cricket. I don't think Sam Curran particularly wants to be politely defending the first ball he faces, but Surrey have that tightrope to walk now, where, yes, you need to go at 12s, you need to keep going, you need to keep attacking, but you want to give yourself a chance as well. It's clipped up to mid-on. That should be a comfortable single, just about. That struck Sam Curran on the back of the leg. I think that's sore. Has a little bit of a grimace. Either way, 2 overs gone, 7 for 2. Glamorgan in firm control of this contest.
Yeah, we asked the question in the Glamorgan innings, how would they respond to losing earliest wickets? But they got off to a flyer. They lost 2 wickets in the power play, but they were scoring at well over 10 runs and over. Surrey, with that scoreboard pressure, they can't afford too many quiet overs, because as Cam says, at this stage of an innings, when you're chasing, as we have a look at that amazing catch from Douthwaite again, that required run rate is going to spiral very, very quickly. And you've got Imad Wasim back on from the Vauxhall end, one of the most accurate and economical finger spinners in the world game. How does Surrey play it from here?
Dan Douthwaite, just on your screen there. What a fantastic catch that was. Now Imad Wasim to Sam Curran. Curran just tucks the ball into the leg side for a single. These boundary dimensions are almost perfect for a left-arm spinner of the style and skill of Imad. Because yes, the right-hander can take you on to the short leg side boundary, but they're going against the spin. The ball is swinging. So they're happy for him to take that risk. And when it's the left-hander, the less preferable matchup. Wow. Jax goes over the top. Can the fielder get underneath it? No. Lands just safe. They'll get back for a couple. And they've come back for 3. They're going to make that home. They are. So when Sam Curran, the left-hander, is on strike, yes, this ball spins back into him. If he wants to target that leg side boundary, he's got to hit it 100 metres. That run rate required exactly 12. 2 runs a ball, every ball. clipped firmly.
So much of T20 bowling is you're bowling to your field, and that ball was basically perfect from Imad Wasim. 2 men in the deep on the leg side, no boundary protection on the offside, fired in straight, good length, giving Curran a lot to work with. Not particularly glamorous, but it's effective T20 power play bowling.
Jacks gives himself space again. This time he goes leg side, but gets so little of it, it doesn't even reach long on the full. So 1 run. I remember interviewing Jeremy Snape, the inventor of the moon ball, the super slow ball, Sam Curran's predecessor. He was explaining how spin bowling in T20, almost all types of bowling, is about forcing the batter to take one, almost making their muscle memory take over. You fire a quick ball in out on the pads, and you have those 2 fielders out on the leg side. So they clip it for 1, and you think that's actually a win for me. Short, and that is a fantastic dot ball for Glamorgan. Imad missed there. Curran got the ball he wanted. There's no protection on that boundary behind square, but he finds the fielder at short 45.
When you're chasing 223, you need everything to go your way, and Imad Wasim has bowled 2 bad balls so far, and he's not conceded a run off either.
Short, this time punched up towards cover. Those 5 Glamorgan fielders dotted along the ring, forming a bit of a Berlin wall of defence. 14 for 2 after 3. That was a tactic actually used a lot in the Women's World Cup last year in the UAE. It was Bangladesh. They'd have 5 fielders in what in the women's game is a 25-yard circle rather than a 30-yard circle, so they're that bit closer. It's that more constricted. They had 5 fielders dotted along in a line, and they called it the Berlin Wall. That was their lingo for it.
It's a good start from Leonard. 1 for 5 from his first set. That wicket of Jason Roy, brilliant catch from Dowthwaite and extra cover. I feel like this is a very crucial over, Cam. Surrey yet to get going. Leonard's second over. They've had a little sighter at him.
It was a different tactic from Surrey and Glamorgan on show already. Well, Leonard was peeling away in celebration, thinking Curran had chopped on. He's got an inside edge onto his foot. It's 1 run. But where Surrey chopped and changed almost continually, the first 8 overs saw 7 different bowlers. We've seen both Imad and now Ned Leonard go into their second over here in the power play.
Oh, that's so close. Not only to chopping on anyway, but it nearly ricocheted onto the stump off Curran's back leg.
Leonard into Will Jacks. Wow, swing and a miss.
And you say swing, Cam. Bit of tail into Jacks as well, and that really wasn't too far away from his leg stump.
Well, Leonard might be scratching his head at how he hasn't got a second wicket here, because that ball's beaten Jacks on the inside and beaten leg stump. And Sam Curran had almost chopped on a ball previously as well.
He's been in the wicket so far this season, 14 wickets at 13s, including a 5-foot against Somerset.
Clipped into the leg side. Again, that'll just be 1. Correct me if I'm wrong, Yaz, but as far as I can remember, we've just had the 1 boundary this innings. Jason Roy cutting Ned Leonard off the first or second ball of his previous over. Aside from that run rate of Surrey is only 4.5 at the moment. Their required run rate, 12.55.
Yeah, it's been a very, very tidy start from Leonard. You sort of expect that from Imad Wasim at the other end. Not only is he all of international pedigree, but he bowls a lot in the power play.
Will that be out? Appeal, yes. Glamorgan are running away with this. Surrey are 3 down already. They're still over 200 runs behind, and this could not be going any better for the Welsh team. Ned Leonard's second wicket of the day looked dangerous in his overs so far, and it's just rewards for the right-arm seamer.
It's been a really impressive over this from Leonard. 4 balls into the over, he's created maybe not 3 wicket-taking opportunities, but he's come close to taking a wicket 3 times. 22 years old, tall, bowling with good pace, 84 mph here. actually very inexperienced T20 cricketer. Before this season, had never played in the Blast before. And in his first Blast season, he's been one of the standout seamers in the competition. And you can see why. Bowls at good pace, releases the ball from good height, and gets the ball just nibble a bit too. So causing awkward problems for the Surrey batters.
Well, Surrey wicketkeeper Dan Lawrence makes his way to the crease, back with his familiar GM gear. If you're just joining us, Laurie Evans, himself a stand-in wicketkeeper, busted his hand. We were waiting for confirmation about whether he will bat, and Dan Lawrence was forced to scamper off the field and find a spare bit of kit. He was using Ben Folkes gloves, Ben Folkes white pads shoved underneath his trousers, and he faces his first ball here. And it's not convincing, but it should be 2 runs.
Something that might be pivotal come the end of the group stage is net run rate, Cam. And heading into this game, Glamorgan's net run rate isn't great. Despite having more wins than defeats, they have a negative net run rate. But Surrey, 18 for 3, chasing 223. That required run rate approaching 13 runs and over. They might effectively be 4 down. We don't know yet if Laurie Evans is going to come out to bat.
Punched off the back foot. That sweeper is in play. We are in the power play with 2 overs of it remaining, so Glamorgan can only have 2 fielders out of the 30-yard circle for the first 6 overs. 4 overs gone here. The score is 19 for 3. Well, Surrey are pretty close to already needing a miracle.
Same again as well. Imad Wasim's going to bowl his 3rd over on the bounce with the new ball. From a Glamorgan point of view, they're just looking to get as far ahead in the contest as possible.
It's interesting that there seems to be 2 contrasting styles of kind of bowling changes in T20 cricket at the moment. It used to be that there was a little fad where you'd bowl an off-spinner first over just to sneak one in. Then teams moved away from that and they looked to bowl their best fast bowler, or more to the point, their best swing bowler through the power play, thinking this is the only time this ball might swing, let's maximise that potential. Or you go the route that Surrey did today and you're changing almost every over. We've seen that in the women's competition this year. Teams almost going, well, on occasion, making a bowling change every single over. That's pushed through the covers. Short cover was interested for a second. And whilst it was delicate, it is also a boundary. Dan Lawrence moves himself onto 7. The pyrotechnics go off here at the Kia Oval. I think Glamorgan won't mind seeing them too much at the moment because they're very firmly in control of this match. And Yaz, we've got good news and bad news. It's 200 to win exactly. Lofted over mid-off. That is a beautiful cricket shot from Dan Lawrence, and that goes all the way for 6. It's wonderful feet from Lawrence, skipping down the tracks to 64 miles an hour. The ability to pick up length that quickly is such an incredible skill in the modern day game. And that's perfect from Dan Lawrence.
Yeah, and 6 runs, but played with real control from Lawrence. Not much more than a check drive.
This time he rolls his wrists on one to pick up a single.
Obviously, Surrey, massive outsiders at this point, but this starts the over is a good reminder of how you can score 11, 12, 13 runs and over. It doesn't have to be all gung-ho cricket. It's 2 technically very correct shots from Lawrence.
This isn't a technically correct shot, but it is going to bring 2 runs, well fielded by the fielder, who loses his trousers as well. What a treat for the crowd, who cheer and celebrate as if they've all taken a Kia crowd catch. Good straight face kept by the man along. And there we go, a nice smile from Glamorgan's fielder.
Standing ovation.
What an evening it is. Glamorgan just showing off tonight. Heaved into the leg side, and that'll be 6. A big over gets bigger for Surrey. 19 runs off it with 1 ball to go. And if they can, say, get a boundary off this ball as well, it's effectively 2 overs worth of runs in one go.
The other thing you'd say as well is that Surrey trying to chart their way to 223. They're actually going at nearly 10s now against Imad Wasim. So, obviously, very suboptimal to be 3 wickets down. But the required run rate hasn't spiralled out of control. An important over to just breathe a little bit of life that was needed in this Surrey run chase. 1 over left in the power play.
This is an interesting tactical moment in the match for Surrey. Because they've only got 1 over of power play left. And with such a big total on the board that they need to chase down, these 6 balls are so precious in terms of there's only 2 people guarding the boundary. So you do attack this over more than you would potentially the 7th over and the 8th and so on, in the hope that you can just make a bit of an indentation on that run rate required of 12.3. We're going to have a change of bowling. Jamie McElroy is going to come into the attack. A seasoned, I don't know, can we call McElroy a veteran, or is that unfair?
He's not been in the professional game too long. Oh, brilliant shot. Brilliant shot. Lawrence is showing that you can find the boundary at will, playing orthodox, technically correct shots. And again, one of the key aspects of batting in T20 cricket is getting yourself in a position to play an attacking shot. And you just see there, takes a little shuffle across his stumps. You know how much he loves hitting the ball through mid-wicket. Gets himself into a really good position to do that. And suddenly Lawrence is 18 off 6.
This time he pushes a single. Oh, almost a collision between the 2 Surrey batters. A bit of a smile from Dan Lawrence. His pearly whites on show.
One thing, sorry, you go.
I didn't have a very important point to make. I more looked up Jamie McElroy, 31, and given I'm 30 in 3 weeks, I reckon he's positively young. A rookie. New to this game. Not veteran in any way, shape or form. It's the leg side, and just got behind square by Jacks, and he slips, which prevents himself from getting back 4-2.
One thing you would say, Cam, from what we've seen so far, it's been a very true pitch. And sometimes in T20 games, if it's a bit sticky, you feel like the power play overs are particularly important, because as a batter, you don't necessarily have to strike the ball that cleanly to find the boundary. You just need to either get the ball through the infield or over it to pick up 4. Because I don't think Surrey will be too concerned about their boundary options once they get out of the power play.
Clipped away again by Lawrence. He almost gets himself back for 2, but sent back by Will Jacks.
Still loads of batting to come. Jamie Overton is such a clean ball striker. Tom Curran's increasingly one of the better middle, lower order batters on the circuit. So, yeah, Glamorgan, massive favourites, obviously. There's a lot of batting left to come for Surrey.
Four. Thumps down the ground from Will Jacks. And that's the power to add to Dan Lawrence's precision. And Surrey are just generating a head of steam here. A 20-run over last set of 6 from Imad Wasim. And this time, the over's gone for 11 from McElroy's first, with a ball still to go. Glamorgan still well ahead, but Surrey just giving themselves reason to believe. Last ball of the power play. Will Jacks on strike. That's sliced out to the man at deep backward point for just a single. It'll bring up the Surrey 50, and at the end of the power play, Surrey are 50 for 3. And I believe we'll have a little look at the highlights so far of this action-packed first 6 overs. It all started very well for Glamorgan. Ryan Patel lasted just 2 balls before he was bowled by Imad Wasim. And Ned Leonard got in on the action as well. Look at this. What a catch that is from Dan Douthwaite. Big celebrations, and rightly so. Then a sharp short ball from Ned Leonard was also caught. Surrey have fought back since though. Will Jacks and Dan Lawrence both on 20 runs. That was the shot of the innings, without a doubt. A beautiful, elegant 6 down the ground from Dan Lawrence. And then Will Jacks had his own go from the other end, sweeping that ball over deep backward square leg. It's 50 for 3 after 6. Dan Douthwaite is going to continue to try and attempt to add some magic to this fixture. The power play's over there, fielders everywhere, 5 on the boundary's edge, and the game proper now begins.
Glamorgan managed this period of the innings really well, able to regularly found the boundary in the middle overs.
Full to begin with from Douthwaite. Jack stabs that ball out to the sweeper for 1 run.
We've not really seen the short boundary come into play so far in the Surrey run chase, and that might be something that comes more into it now we don't have the field restrictions as we have in the power play. Just 2 fielders out of the inner ring in the first 6 overs. You're allowed 5 out, and there and in.
One more run added to the total. This would be perfect for Glamorgan. Dan Douthwaite would be very happy to run up and be gently tapped into the offside for a single.
It's pace off. Seeing it straight away from Douthwaite. We saw Leonard, despite him being able to bowl towards 85 mph, went pace off a couple of times with good effect. Sam Curran said it a couple of times already, but it's worth seeing again. The most effective Surrey seamer taking pace off the ball regularly.
This time chopped into the leg side. Wonder if that was another pace-off delivery from Douthwaite. It's so difficult when you're tasked with chasing scores this size, and that you in effect need to be sprinting all the time. There's no real margin for error. Big step across the offside from Lawrence, and he gets the ball he wants. He's only able to force it down the ground for a single.
Yeah, Lawrence looking at the heavens in frustration. 3rd or 4th time in the Surrey innings where the Glamorgan bowler has missed what they've tried to do. They've not been punished. Full toss just going for 1. And just 4 runs from the first 4 balls in this over. Glamorgan really good at salvaging overs with the bat, scoring boundaries off the last 2 balls of several overs.
4 just sneaks through the 2 fielders behind square on the offside. And a much needed boundary for Surrey is scored.
Somerset's Tom Banton did an interview with my colleague Katia Whitney earlier in the year. And he said that in T20 cricket, something that's really helped him and something that players talk about increasingly is that you're only ever 2 balls away from catching up. You can take your time, you don't need to panic. I think as long as that required run rate is below 13 and a half runs and over, Surrey will feel that that's within grasp. You don't need to take too many risks.
The only issue I'd say there is, if the run rate required is 12.6, to keep it below 13, you do need to go at 12.6.
It's a very good point. It's a very, very good point.
End of the 7th over, it scores 59 for 3. I'm Cameron Punsonby. I'm joined by Wisden's Yaz Rana here on the Surrey live stream. Surrey are chasing 223 for victory here at the Kia Oval. They're 2nd in the South Group of the Vitality Blast. Glamorgan are 4th. You can just see the sun is beginning to dip down the JM fin stand. I almost called it the old name. Old habits die hard. It's a beautiful evening here in South London. I remember in regards to batters always feeling in the game, Joss Butler started to talk about that idea of, I'm only 2 balls away from scoring 12 runs. And as long as I can think like that, I'm pretty happy. Right, we're going to have some medium paces into the attack. Andy Gorvin. And that's bunted up to long on for a single.
He's got that almost old school cover of his hand as he runs into bowl, concealing from the batter what his grip is and what they're likely to face from the hand.
He's an incredibly skillful cricketer, Andy Gorvin. Bowling at not much more than 70 miles an hour. There's lots of different change-ups.
Shades of Benny Howe, would say. Another seam bowler who's hard to categorise. Lots of different variations.
I think bowlers in the style of Glamorgan are often kind of unfairly criticised in that they sometimes will get a bit of a clubby tag associated with them because they're not bowling kind of in the 80 miles an hour. But if you're going to have success at this level by forcing errors from batters when you're bowling at 68 to 72 miles an hour, if anything, that speaks to the skill level you possess.
100%. You have less margin for error when you bowl at that speed. If you can be effective closer to 70 than 80 miles per hour, you need to have immense skill.
Shy at the stumps. I tell you what, that would have been close. So rocket arm from, I reckon it's the skipper Kieran Coulson out there at cover.
Make a good point, Cam, about maintain a required run rate of 12.6 and over. You need to go at 12.6 runs and over. 5 from the first 4, and Glamorgan's first, and that rate does start to approach 13.
That's lifted over backward point, and that is one of the boundaries that Surrey need. Probably needs 2 boundaries and over, I reckon, to get home from here, Surrey. That's another way batting teams often look to deconstruct a run chase. How many boundaries do we need? How many sixes do we need to get us home? And rather than it being a case we need 13 runs and over, we need 12 sixes off the next 100 balls or whatever it may be. That's sliced behind square again, but this time fielded by Douthwaite, and it's a vital dot ball for Glamorgan. So after 8 overs, the score is 68 for 3. Will Jacks is on 29 off 18, and Dan Lawrence on 29 off 14.
Lawrence furious with himself off that final delivery. Glamorgan gave him a bit of width to work with. There was no protection on the boundary on the offside, so if he was able to thread the ball through that gap behind square in the ring, he would have been able to pick up 4. I was talking to Lauren Winfield-Hill this morning about captaincy in T20 cricket, and she said that when she's talking to her bowlers, captains the Oval Invincibles, captains Yorkshire, playing for Essex at the moment, she says to their bowlers, if you get hit for 6 where the fielders are, so it goes over the head of the fielder, you've bowled to your plan, fine. What I don't want to see is boundaries going to where the field isn't set for. A couple of times in that over, Glamorgan just strayed with his line, and he was punished once, but got away with it the second time.
It was fantastic fielding out in the deep by Glamorgan. It was hit firmly to that sweeper's left-hand side. I can't quite make out who it is from here. It was a clean pick-up that prevented Surrey from turning for 2. It's another dot ball. Well, he strides at the stumps, and a direct hit would have got him. They thought about 1. Andy Glamorgan furious with himself. He only had 1 stump to aim at. He had time to set himself. We'll have a little look at it again here. McIlroy cut it into the pitch, sets himself, throws. I reckon that wasn't too far away. Good change up from McIlroy.
2 dots on the bounce, and that required run rate 13.4 runs and over. And I was just going to say, Cam, obviously the story today is Glamorgan's batting. I think they've been really professional with the ball and in the field. Very few bad deliveries. They've been really clear in terms of what their plans are. Also in the field, they've just been tidy, and not just in terms of how they're collecting the ball, it's the intensity they've had.
Oof. I reckon McIlroy will feel a little bit aggrieved by that. Umpire James Treadwell smiles and laughs when confirming it's a wide. I don't know if McIlroy would appreciate that greatly. That's okay. You're correct in referring to Lauren Winfield-Hill's talking about plans and where the bowlers want to be hit. Another wide? Yes. I think that one you've got to accept. Jamie McElroy. And Chris Green speaks about it as a spinner who often bowls in the power play. He'll have his two fielders out kind of deep mid-wicket and long on. And you're trying to get hit for one to those guys, basically. And if they're going to have to take a risk, they're going to have to hit over them. Or what you're trying to do is you're trying to force them to take a risk and hit it through the ring on the offside where the fielders are positioned to stop one effectively. But if they're walking away from them stumps and having to create extra risk, that's also fine. Slower ball again, and this time sliced out to that fielder at deep cover point.
This is a really good example of a bowler knowing what they're trying to do. Look, he's not executing at every delivery, they're too wide, but he's taking pace off, hanging the ball outside the off stump. So there's no one behind square on the boundary of the offside, but it's quite hard to beat the two fielders in the ring when McElroy is bowling at 70 miles per hour. And he's got a guy on the cover point boundary as well. He's also keeping the ball away from that shorter leg side boundary, so even if he does go to the boundary, it'll be 4 rather than 6.
This is pretty perfect cricket here from, well, Dan Lawrence isn't happy with that. So Kieran Carlson's picked the ball up one-handed around about on the 30-yard circle, and he wings it into his wicketkeeper on the bounce. And Lawrence has turned to Martin Saggers and said, what about that? You're meant to be keeping the ball up. You're not meant to be deliberately damaging it so it becomes softer and harder to hit. And for what it's worth, Kieran Carlson has a very hard throw. That's a big wide.
He did think about it, though. He did think about it.
Well, Lawrence is stepping across, so McElroy will feel he's within his rights to be able to move a little bit. It went too far. But even with these wides, if you're missing, it's almost a positive miss. If McElroy bowled a wide down the leg side here, that would be a disaster. That would be a big miss. However, if you're deliberately trying to keep the ball outside off stump, if you miss that wide line a little bit, that's okay. That's a fantastic cricket shot. We'll like to have a look at that again. Dan Lawrence's wrist, trademark, copyright, walks across his stumps and flicks it over deep square leg, or square leg even, who just, I think, come into the ring. Now watch this. Steps across, and how he's hit the ball from that far outside off stump to that far over to the leg side. It's a wonderful piece of cricket from Surrey's batter.
Well, it's an amazing shot, and I suppose that's the downside to, if you've got a straightforward plan that you're executing well, is that you can telegraph as a batter what was likely to happen. There was a field change before that delivery. Short third went back to deep third, and I wonder if those wides had played on McElroy's mind a little bit, in that it's slightly harder to execute that line when you're taking pace off. So third went back, telegraphing that there's likely to be pace on the ball, and it's a slightly easier shot when there's pace on the ball. Not taking anything away from Lawrence, because that's an extraordinary bit of skill to whip that ball from so far outside off stump, not just onto and into the leg side, but square leg. The angles aren't with you at all for that shot, but amazing bit of batting. Important boundary, required run rate still around about 13 runs and over.
Dan Douthwaite into the attack. He's driven up to cover. Carlson will have a shy and he'll hit. That's out, and he's off in celebration. Glamorgan have been superb in the field. Kieran Carlson himself has been superb in the field, and this time with one stump to aim at, he took aim, he hit, and the stump flew out of the ground. If Glamorgan weren't home already, they've taken another step towards it.
Well, you were bigging up Kieran Carlson's arm in the previous over. Jacks set off straight away, and Glamorgan have been brilliant in the field. That's another example of it. Bullet arm from Carlson, pinpoint accuracy, and it's an important wicket. Gets rid of the dangerous Will Jacks. Oh. And what a celebration to boot as well. Like Douthwaite earlier in the piece. Cap off straight away.
Oh my God.
He doesn't know where he's running. Brilliant.
Kieran Carlson is a very fun cricketer, and he's got a very entertaining skill set. Hits sixes in all directions and throws the ball like an MLB pitcher. Dan Lawrence might be a bit put out there. He had that practice one, the one before, last over. Wanging it into the ground, only this time he was wanging it at the stumps as well. Tom Curran, whose batting has come on exponentially over the last several years. Another one of these cricketers who were was primarily a bowling all-rounder in the Red Bull game, got injured, had time to work on batting almost exclusively. Now he's signed in leagues around the world as a top 6 batter who will also bowl, otherwise known as an all-rounder.
Probably the clearest sign yet that Laurie Evans might not bat. Almost always bats ahead of Tom Curran in the order.
Big appeal, not given. And I tell you what, Dan Lawrence, beg your pardon, walked across his stumps there. I don't think it was the worst shout in the world, and also more of a clear indication that Glamorgan are almost exclusively going to be going pace off, because we're seeing those fielders, well, to Tom Curran, fine leg now drops back out. I want to ask just to see that replay again. I've missed it as I was looking out for the fielding changes. Tom Curran facing his first ball. Wow, that is a fantastic cricket shot. It's only 1 run. It deserved more though, Yaz.
He's absolutely nailed it, but straight to the fielder on the boundary. Sorry, need those to go to 4.
You can see, well, that is excellent from Tom Curran. Dan Lawrence's wrists in action again as he flips the ball up to long on.
Pace off again from Douthwaite, just 68 miles per hour. It just has been harder to hit today. The pitch is so good that pace on has just come onto the bat so nicely, and it's often disappeared off the bat just as quickly as it's come to the batter.
Oh. Take a bow, Tom Curran. That's 6. He's just let that short ball rise on him and he's helped it over the top. Tom Curran's faced 2 deliveries and played the best 2 cricket shots in the match. He's got 7 runs. First a single out to cover with the most powerful cover drive, and this time with the most elegant ramp over the wicketkeeper. When shots like that are being played, Surrey still believe.
That's an extraordinary shot. He's been at the crease for just a couple of minutes. He's faced just a couple of balls and 2 brilliant shots. One showing his power, one showing his touch. 7 off 2. And this is interesting. Douthwaite ushers fine leg into the ring, and Curran, we know, likes the scoop. Potentially telegraphing that might be pace off again.
That looked quite pace on to me. It's been a bit of a miss hit. And Dan Lawrence is going to try and get back for 2 and makes it. Morgan have been so good in the field with the bat and with the ball. They've had a very, very good match so far, and they're 3/4 of the way there to a victory. At the halfway stage of Surrey's run chase, they are 89 for 4. They need 134 runs off the final 60 balls. It will require something special, but they've got 2 batters at the crease who can provide exactly that.
Do you want some encouragement if you're Surrey?
Yeah?
Well, obviously, you're 89 for 4, maybe 89 for 5, chasing 223. It's a halfway.
Doesn't sound brilliant.
Doesn't sound brilliant, but Glamorgan weren't miles ahead at the same point in the innings. They were fewer than 20 runs ahead.
Isn't that loads?
It's a lot, but it's not millions. Comeback starts now. Dan Lawrence for the 2nd time looking to take a ball well outside off stump and attack the square leg boundary. I cannot overstate how difficult a shot that is to execute. Last time he did it, he picked up 4. This time it's 6. And Cam, if we do the direct comparison, they're 6 runs closer, because that equivalent ball in the Glamorgan innings was the wicket of Ben Kellaway. So Surrey in the head-to-head, only 13 runs behind.
Well, I don't want to distract from
Morgan were. And also, the other thing is, look at the DLS par score. That DLS par score...
20 behind, Yaz.
Again, it's a lot of runs. When you're 95 for 4, chasing 220 odd, you're going to be behind the game. But if in the second over, they were more than 20 runs behind. So if anything, they've closed the gap.
Good point, yeah.
God, I can't believe in
I
this
know,
game.
you've just bugbeared, because it's one of my least favourite stats, the as it stands one, where you go, at this stage in a completely different innings, there was a different score.
It's another wide. James Treadwell. What I'd say is he's a late giver of the wide. He likes to think about it. Likes to really consider the decision before giving it. Pushes it really wide this time from Gorvin. Excellent bit of work on the boundary. Amazing bit of work on the boundary.
It's Southway again.
A lot of ground to cover, but he also had to put in a full length dive at the very end. You see what Gorvin's trying to do. Oh, brilliant fielding. Fantastic from Douthwaite. Took an amazing catch to dismiss Jason Roy earlier in the piece. You see what Gorvin's trying to do. Hang it outside Lawrence's off stump. And it's another wide. 10 runs off the first 2 balls in the over. And Lawrence, using his feet, is causing problems for Glamorgan. We know what they're trying to do, but because of his proactivity in using his feet, getting across to the offside, that's a good response from Gorvin. Lawrence trying to dink the ball over short third, but Gorvin taking pace right off the ball, not giving him any pace to work with. Cam, you spotted something, that previous ball.
Well, just after that wide was delivered, Gorvin ran back to his mark. They've only bowled 5 wides in the across the innings so far. Oh my God.
That's 6 more. That is so good from Dan Lawrence. It brings up his half century, 50 off 24 balls. The Kia Oval crowd finding its voice. This game isn't completely done with just yet. That is a staggering shot. It's the 3rd time he's hit a ball that is in pushing the wide line outside off stump to or above the square leg boundary. That's the most extraordinary one yet.
Get the as it stands up. I want to hear what it is now. This is phenomenal batting from Dan Lawrence.
Well, you know what? 5 runs.
There we go. That changes everything.
Same number of wickets as well.
Oh my goodness me.
Sorry, it's 4 runs. So, and it's exactly the same point of the innings. Glamorgan were 110 for 4. That gap, Cam was taking the mick out of me for suggesting that it was closing. Very well bowled. Good finish from Gorvin. It's a very expensive over. 16 runs from it, but he finishes well.
So the point I was going to make was just that after that delivery from Gorvin, which was a wide ball, he sprinted back to the top of his mark. And where Glamorgan are kind of using this tactic from the Vauxhall end, where they're hanging it outside off stump to keep the Surrey batters away from trying to target this short leg side boundary. The downside, not only is that you bowl an occasional wide, is you've got to bowl that ball again. Because there's been 5 in a short period of time, just Glamorgan are becoming a bit aware of that cut-off time, which is in exactly half an hour. They need to fit the final 9 overs in, which it's doable. The cut-off time often shifts back a little bit, but Glamorgan are aware of it, so I mentioned it.
Well, they were able to race through a few overs when they were just doing exactly the same thing. Their bowlers had set plans, and Surrey were scoring at a decent rate, but not enough of a rate to get them off those plans. But Lawrence in that previous over, shifting across his stumps with those wide deliveries, and in the end, them eventually bringing square leg back and putting him on the rope, causing Glamorgan to take a little bit more time. Leonard back in, very impressive early on. And that's pulled hard, and it'll be 4 more from Lawrence. He's in the mood. 55 off 26.
Well, what an innings this is from Surrey's latest wicketkeeper. He was pretty tidy with the gloves, and he's being even more impressive with the bat. He's targeting whichever leg side boundary he's presented with, using those wrists to good effect. And you've got mid-on and mid-off up in the ring, so you're expecting the bowling to be a bit shorter. Will we see Lawrence potentially use his feet and go down the wicket?
Edge, but Edge fine. But thankfully for Glamorgan, deep third, Andy Gorvin is fine too, so he's able to cut that off. Still though, good start to the over. It's a crucial over too, by the way, just because of how impressive Leonard was up top and how impressive he has been all season. A big part of the inning so far was actually, even though Imad Wasim struck early, Surrey were also able to score very quickly off him in his not final over, but the third of the 3 overs he's bowled so far. Can Surrey score quickly against Glamorgan's most established bowlers? So far, they just about have. This is a big over, you feel. Very good from Leonard, hitting the pitch hard.
Just wonder whether that's an indication from Tom Curran that he knows his partner's got a bit of a hot hand at the moment, and his job's to get Dan Lawrence back on strike. We do have a field change for Dan Lawrence now. Long on has dropped out, and that third man who fielded that very fine edge from the previous delivery Lawrence faced is now in the ring.
Nudge into the leg side. They'll come back easily for 2. Cam, sometimes you can feel how a game's going by the noise in the crowd.
Getting excited.
And when the boundaries are being hit, they're really loud. But actually, before deliveries, they're quieting down a little bit. You can sense that the people here, really good, healthy crowd in here at the Kia Oval Friday night, on a cloud in the sky. I think there's anything better to be doing in South London right now than being here. They're just paying a little bit more attention, because this game that felt dead half an hour ago is very much alive. That'll be 4 more, and a no ball. Not at all where Lawrence intended to hit the ball. But it's a healthy enough edge, goes over Horton behind the stump, picks up 4, but 2 more runs added to the Surrey score for the no ball, and an extra ball, and a free hit.
Well, great nicking from Dan Lawrence, and he's in the zone at the moment. He is the key to this match. He's on 62 off 29. He's now got a free hit. It's a big leg side boundary which he has been targeting so far. So will he give himself room and look to go over mid-off, over cover? Or will he back his biceps and look to launch it over that big leg side boundary?
Required rate, 12.36 runs and over. 14 off the first 4 balls in this over. Free hit. Hit hard into the leg side for 4. Beats the man at deep mid-wicket. Lawrence is on a charge. Surrey now need fewer than 100 runs with 49 balls remaining.
Always back your biceps. Who am I kidding yet? Look at him. Dan's a big boy and he muscles that over to deep mid-wicket. And there's just, you're absolutely correct. There is a bit of a buzz here at the ground. I hope for the neutrals' sake that Dan Lawrence keeps doing special things, because he is absolutely playing a blinder at the moment. 18 runs off the over already.
Nudge into the leg side. They run hard. Curran wants to initially, but turns Lawrence back. Correct call. And it also ensures that Lawrence retains the strike. Cam, I think you're right. Curran is sensing the moment, sensing how well his partner is playing, and is ensuring that he's getting as much strike as possible. So Surrey now 125 for 4 after 12. They need 98 from the final 8 overs. I know you don't like your comparisons, Cam. Surrey are now 10 runs ahead of where Glamorgan were at the corresponding point of their innings. They obviously went very, very hard at the end of the innings, but Surrey just about alive in this contest. We don't know if Laurie Evans is going to come out to bat. The fact he's not come out to bat so far suggests that he still is being impacted by that injury, but...
Well, from this point onwards in Glamorgan's innings, they had 6 consecutive double-figure overs, and that included an over that went for 21, one that went for 17, 13, 12. This was when they really went through the gears. And so Dan Lawrence, you might be thinking he's scoring quickly at 67 off 31, but he's going to have to take it up a notch again. Surrey are going to come out of this with a win.
McElroy back into the attack. Driven firmly, but straight to the man. on the offside boundary, just a single, and it brings Curran on strike. Really interesting to see what McElroy does here, because Glamorgan have operated with the same plan with seam from this end, the Vauxhall end, for a while, essentially taking pace off the ball, hanging the ball outside the right-handers off stump. Initially, they had success with it, but in the previous over, Lawrence moved over to the offside and was able to target the leg side boundary. Pace off again from McElroy. It's 2 runs from the first 2 balls in the over. I can assure you that speed gun is wrong. That was not 87.6 mph.
Well, this is a one-man show here at the Kia Oval. Tom Curran has realised the role he has to play, and it's not the main character at the moment. So even with the required run rate being up above 12 runs and over, he is looking for one every ball he faces to get this man, Dan Lawrence, back on strike. Oh!
He's gone over to the offside again. Umpire has already called no ball.
Oh!
For a second, both of us in the commentary box were worried about a potential collision that went very, very high in the air. Lots going on. Lawrence will feel that he missed out on a boundary opportunity, but that was very early and decisively called as a beamer by the umpires, well before the fielders got near the ball. So another no ball. It's another extra. They've run 2, plus the 2 runs for the no ball, and it's a free hit.
Shots.
Nailed over extra cover for 6. Dan Lawrence is seeing the ball so well right now. His 4th 6 of his innings. He's on to 76 off just 34 deliveries. Surrey will feel if Lawrence is in the middle at the end of the game, it's theirs to win. Drop chance in the crowd. We've seen some extraordinary shots from Lawrence so far, Cam, but that's right up there with the very best of them.
This is trouble for Glamorgan.
That's wide again. That's what Lawrence has forced them to do.
Because it's all well and good if you're hanging the ball outside off stump to prevent the batters targeting that leg side boundary. If you think that the batter is only capable or only wants to hit the ball in one direction. If Lawrence then starts going, okay, I know where you're going to hit it, you're going to hide it outside off stump, but I also am able to just hit the ball for 6 over extra cover, all of a sudden, you have a hell of a lot more boundary options at play.
Pace off again, cut behind square in the offside. Fielder of the offside boundaries, a lot of work to do. They come back for 2. Just got an update, by the way, so viewers who are with us early in the day will know that we had a brief delay in proceedings because a spectator got hit during the Glamorgan. He's got an update for you. The gentleman who was struck is okay. He's been seen to. So good news. Always worrying when that happens. Good cricket from Lawrence. 1 ball left in the over after that nudge into the offside. Gets to the other end.
So is this a free hit for Tom Curran, or is his idea that... I still don't think it's quite a free hit because wickets are important.
This partnership is worth 63 runs. Tom Curran has only faced 6 balls in a partnership worth 63. That'll just be a single. So another really, really good over for Surrey. 17 runs coming from the over. All the momentum now with the home side.
This game is shaping up brilliantly well. I say that, it's a one-man miracle mission. If Dan Lawrence gets out, the game's completely different again. But for as long as Dan Lawrence is at the crease, currently supported by Tom Curran, who's on your screen right now, we have a real contest on our hands. And Imad Wasim is going to come back into the attack to bowl some spin.
Yeah, huge over this. It's Imad Wasim's last over of the day. 1 for 28 off 3 so far. How does Surrey play him? Uses his feet, doesn't get to the pitch of the ball.
what is Kieran Carlson doing? This is why he's such an entertaining cricketer. He was running at the ball straight on and dived at it, which I don't think is the fastest way to do anything, but
Look good.
it's highly entertaining, absolutely.
How did Surrey play this over? Because Wasim is...
Hit it out the ground. Take him on. Dan Lawrence hit it straight into the pavilion, 6 runs.
Cut past cover for 4. Brilliant footwork again from Lawrence. Not a lot wrong with that delivery from Wasim, but he clears his front leg, engineers a bit of width that did not exist, gets his hands through the ball. That ball was off stump. There was no width there to work with, but he finds the boundary. 5 off 2 in this over. 4 balls remaining in Wasim's spell. Use his feet. Down the ground, falls short of long on.
Oh, it's good fun here at the Kia Oval. Look at Dan Lawrence having a laugh and a smile. He knows he's on one at the moment. He knows that he holds the key to this result, and he'll be very thankful he got pretty much none of that ball on that occasion.
Curran gives himself a bit of room. Wasim follows him. Think about 2, and they get back comfortably. It's good cricket from this pair.
Dan Lawrence had almost lapped Tom Curran on that occasion. Tom Curran played the ball deep in his crease, and so by the time he'd set off, Dan Lawrence had pretty much reached the other end. 150 up for Surrey, 73 needed off 38.
8 off 4 in this over so far. 2 balls remaining in Wasim's spell. That's a wide. You're going to have to bowl that again.
I think that's a good miss, though, from Imad. Curran looked to give himself room, and he went, fine, I'll hit that wide line. He just missed.
Fatter, it's another quick single from Tom Curran. 11 extras so far in the Surrey innings.
Well, how many did Surrey bowl?
Keep you on my toes here, Cam.
Absolutely.
That's 16. 6 of them were byes and leg byes. Pulled hard into the leg side. They think about 2. Tom Curran sprints back, gets 2. It's a pretty good over for the home side, especially considering it's Imad Wasim's final over.
Well, it's 69 to win of the last 6 overs. But this has been the main man. Dan Lawrence on 86 not out. He's been nothing short of superb. And these are his best shots. These aren't even his best shots. These are just all of them. He's scored.
It's been a bit of something for everyone, really. He starts off with the most conventional of cover drives. And then that's the highlight, surely. Hitting a ball that might have been a wide outside off stump over square leg for 6.
It was also pretty much a half volley.
Yeah.
He decided what he wanted to do before the ball arrived. And we talked about the skill level of Andy Gorvin to be able to compete at this level, bowling 65, 70 miles an hour. On that occasion, Dan Lawrence showed what professionals can do when the pace is not quite as high as it sometimes is.
And Outhwaite, he's got a big role to play from here to the end. 2 overs for 20, which is very good going so far in the context of the game. He's mixed up his pace well. Now bowling to Tom Curran. He's played a brilliant hand alongside Lawrence. Full pace off. It's another quick single. Oh, direct hit! Carlson imploring.
They're still running. They're still running.
They get back for 2. And it's Carlson again. That man with a bullet arm. He cannot believe James Treadwell has not given that out.
Here we go. Super slow motion, please. Mark next door. Perfect. Look at this. We're going to see the ball flying in from the left soon. Oh, it's
very, very hard to tell.
I mean, how are you giving that in live time?
It's one of those that I'm sure that if we're playing an international game, it goes to the third umpire. They're probably poring over several slow motion, frame by frame replays before coming to a decision. I'm not sure that we can tell from that one.
I think it's out, but in live time, I don't know how you're meant to be able to keep track of two objects moving at that speed. You've got a ball travelling at 90 miles an hour and a man running into your sight from your right-hand eye. Right-hand eye? Something like that works.
Be a reminder that Glamorgan will be aggrieved they didn't end up with 2 more runs in their innings. They had a 6 given as a 4. Good start to this over though from Douthwaite. 3 off the first 2 deliveries. Good pace, 83 mph.
And he's staying pace on here, even with those 2 fielders at short third and short fine leg in the ring. We haven't seen Lawrence scoop yet. We haven't seen Tom Curran scoop yet. From this end, it is an option.
And also that you've not really seen them go down the ground pace on so far. So they're asking different questions. That'll be 4 more. Hung the ball outside, off stump and short. He's not hit that out of the middle of the bat. That's not that far off where Dan Lawrence would have wanted the ball to go. Always high risk as a bowler, keeping the ball that far outside off stump when you don't have a third man in place.
Lawrence has opened his wrists on that as well. It looks like an outside edge in part because, well, it has taken the outside half of the bat. But that's the risk of being pace on with short third in the ring.
Similar delivery, gets away with it this time. Lawrence slightly frustrated with himself. Dangerous game this for Douthwaite. I suppose though, what Glamorgan are trying to do is we've seen Lawrence have so much success hitting the ball to the leg side, and they're like, we don't want you to hit the ball to the leg side. So having pace on makes it so much harder for him to whip the ball across the square leg. They've got the field now protecting the leg side boundary. That'll be 4. Length ball, but width to work with for Tom Curran. Dan Lawrence very much the star at the moment, but Tom Curran 23 off 13. That's a brilliant shot. Again, with pace on, width is dangerous. It's really dangerous to Glamorgan because there's very little boundary protection.
You so often associate kind of big run rates with power. But these 2 Surrey batters, their technical abilities on show has been remarkable.
Oh, he's been struck looking to scoop the ball behind square. He's been struck. That's nasty. It's a full toss. It's a legal delivery. Curran will be in some discomfort.
Ow. Oh, God. I'm surprised no one's appealed for that. I guess it might have struck him outside the line. You could make a case about whether he is playing a shot. I don't know if he got quite all the way through it. And that is the bravery that's involved in playing those ramp shots. You are kind of trusting the bowler not to bowl a thigh-high full toss, in truth.
He's worn that pretty well. That would be seriously painful. 83 mph. But crucially, that required run rate is pretty similar to the actual innings run rate.
Surrey are in the game here. A few years ago, it swapped from being we want 40 off the last 4 to 50 off the last 4 is pretty much par for the course. If you give a professional cricket team the choice of you're playing a T20, you need 50 runs of your last 4 overs to win the game, they'd shake hands with you and say, yep, let's go.
But it's also, if you look at the Glamorgan attack compared to Surrey attack, Surrey used 7 bowlers, I think, over the course of the innings. Options throughout. You weren't sure who was going to bowl at the death. Glamorgan have only used 5 bowlers so far, so we know, a pretty good idea of who's going to bowl for the rest of the innings. Imad Wasim is bowled out. Ned Leonard, who's been arguably one of the bowlers in the South Group over the course of the competition, he's got 1 over left. McElroy's got 1 left. Douthwaite's got 1 left. Gorvin's got 2 left. Not as much experience for the back end of the innings as Surrey had. A reminder that we might not see Laurie Evans. We still don't know if he'll come out to bat. So Surrey might effectively be 5 down.
Just seeing a bit of crowd participation over on the far side. Kind of quite confined Mexican wave. That's just in one block. well, they'll be able to pay attention to the cricket again in due course. And the point I was trying to make before is so often when you see that run rates around 13, 14 and over, as this pair has been going at over the last several overs, you just associate that with brute strength. Not necessarily a high calibre of skill, but big biceps, brawn, hit it straight out the ground. These guys have been striking the ball over cover. They've been opening their wrists to access gaps where fielders are in the ring rather than on the boundary. We've seen Dan Lawrence walking across his stumps, hitting the ball over extra cover, then hitting that same ball over deep square leg. It has been an absolute masterclass in batting in the last 4 or 5 overs. It's been a wonderful watch. And one of those 2 overs that Andy Gorvin has left is about to be bowled now.
Hit down the ground, just a single. Lawrence 92 off 42. His career best score in T20 cricket, 93.
Well,
he won't be thinking about that one bit.
If he finishes on about 115, Surrey win the game.
Really good from Gorvin. In the block hole, squeezed out from Curran. He does well himself, but it's just a single. 2 singles off the first 2 balls of the over.
It's a different challenge Gorvin presents from the other end. He's now bowling at the pavilion end. He was at the Vauxhall end. So Lawrence was able to walk across his stumps and target that short boundary. Can't do that from this end.
But he can target the short boundary with a conventional or more conventional shot over the offside. Cam's absolutely right. The reason why we were seeing such extreme shots really from Lawrence was because of the short boundary on the leg side. That doesn't mean he doesn't have shots to target the offside, and this time Gorvin offers width and Lawrence says thank you very much, 4 more. Over, cover again, falls safely, just a single, on to 97.
Well, Curran wanted 2. Dan Lawrence sent him back. I think there might have been a second run there, but most importantly of all, Lawrence is still there. I'd say Surrey are favourites now.
Oh, what a shot from Tom Curran. Looked to give himself some room. Gorvin followed him, and he's just flicked it over deep fine leg for 6. He's been playing in the slipstream of Dan Lawrence, but my word, what a knock this has been from Tom Curran as well.
That has gone a long way down leg side from Gorvin, and Tom Curran has helped it on its way go even further. It's a 100 partnership for this pair. Curran on 30 off 16 has been superb.
Oh, it's only just missed leg stump. How's that missed? Luck not going Glamorgan's way at the moment. Curran ends up nicking a single, gets the other end. Oh, so close. So close.
Right. Who have Surrey got left? There's 4 overs to go. The score is 180 for none. The required run rate is 10.75. Their current run rate is 11.25. Jamie Overton, Chris Jordan, Nathan Smith, the batters of note to come. So there's still depth. Laurie Evans, we expect, well, we don't know, but we expect him not to be batting given his state when he left the field. You're watching the Surrey live stream. It's me, Cameron Punsonby, and Wisden's Jazz Rana, who's going to take you all the way home.
Jamie McElroy on for what will be his last over of the evening so far. Nailed for 6. Pace off from McElroy. Curran, who hit an extraordinary shot over fine leg in the previous over, this time targets the short leg side boundary. Picks up 6. Surrey ahead in the game, and Cam, that's the first time we could really say that all day.
We just thought in the last over, have this pair flipped the match? Have they turned Surrey into favourites? And now we can officially say it. That run rate required is now below 10. So even if one or both of these players were to fall, Surrey would still back themselves in with a chance. And Curran, 36 off 18.
Just a single, but we're now at the point in the game, singles aren't that bad for Surrey. They know if they can rotate the strike, 5 balls in an over, and pick up a boundary off the other one, they will win this game.
I think Dan Lawrence is about to bring up his maiden T20 century off this ball.
McRoy to Lawrence on 97. Squirted in front of square in the offside. Tumble by the man on the offside boundary, so he comes through for 2.
He moves on to 99. I could make the same comment again. If I keep on saying it, it will eventually happen. Dan Lawrence has been sensational. 99 not out.
Down the ground, and Lawrence brings up his first T20 100. What a performance it's been for the Surrey batter. They were in real strife when he came to the crease. 16 for 3 in the 4th over, chasing 223. Out of the game by anyone's measure, but now with 20 deliveries remaining, they need 33. And Lawrence has been the star. An extraordinary innings, 10 fours, 4 sixes. Beats the man at short third. That'll be 4. Curran on to 41. And just 29 runs required for Surrey off 19 balls.
That boundary was met with a fist pump by Dan Lawrence. The ball got sliced through short third. Dan Lawrence celebrated, and I think that might just be the moment that breaks Glamorgan. When you need little things to start going back in your favour, and those balls sneak away for 4 runs, you wonder what else you've got to do. I think Glamorgan have been pretty good today.
They have. They've been met by an extraordinary partnership. Player miss, we haven't seen many of them recently. It ends another really good over though for Surrey. 14 from it, 29 required from the final 3. If they get there, by the way, Cam, this will be Surrey's highest successful chase in the Blast, beating their 2-2-2 against Middlesex back in 2018.
Well, this pair came together at 78 for 4. Will Jacks had been run out by Kieran Carlson, who ran off as if he'd secured the match. And you know what? I didn't blame him. I thought he'd done the exact same. Lawrence still on strike. Less than 10 runs and over required now.
I feel like if they get back in this game, Glamorgan, this is the over. It's Leonard's final over. He's bowled well so far. 2 for 29 off 3. Oh, with really good pace up top. What can he do now? Into Lawrence. Hit hard. Into leg side. 4. Pierces the gap between the 2 fielders on the leg side boundary. And just the start Surrey would have wanted in Leonard's final over.
Well, this is the first time we've really seen Lawrence get ugly. To this point, he's been so elegant and precise in his placement and the risks he's taking. Now's a good old-fashioned hoik it from offside into leg, 4 runs.
Yeah, you can see why he does it though. There's only 2 men on the leg side in front of square. Hit the ball firmly, you're in business. Hits the ball firmly this time, but straight to the man at long on. And that's the thing, Leonard had success earlier on, sort of cramping batters for room. Bowling good pace. Aiming at the batter's midriff, but at this stage of the innings, if Surrey are comfortable with taking what looks like a risk, there are boundaries on offer. 4 men out on the leg side, 4 men in the ring on the offside. Leonard to Curran. There's that extra bit of bounce we were talking about earlier. Another player miss.
Well, Tom Curran just points over towards the vacant backward point area. As if to say that was meant to go there. An important dot ball for Leonard, who probably needs, if not 3 more dot balls this over, a wicket to go with one of them.
Oh, for a second I thought another chance to run out. Kieran Carlson's been in the game all day.
Well, even then he's sprinting in and looking to pick up the ball one-handed. The 200 arrives for Surrey. They're 23 runs away from what will be their highest ever chase well, I was going to say in the history of this competition, the history of T20 cricket for them.
Partnership now worth 122. 200 has been brought up. 23 to win off 14. How can Leonard finish? 2 balls remaining in his spell. He's been the pick of the Glamorgan bowlers so far. Doesn't get hold of this, Lawrence. Just a single. 7 runs from the over. He's done a good job here, Leonard. You feel he's a really, really important ball.
We're going to see
He can get out of this over without a boundary. The first time in 15 minutes, the run rate becomes something that's not totally straightforward for the home side.
Well, Surrey will take a lot of risks in the next 7 balls because they know if only 2 or 3 of them come off, they're pretty much home.
Leonard into cover. Whips that into the leg side. Long on does really well. Saves the boundary, but it's still 2 runs. 9 runs from the over. I think Surrey will be fine with that, given that they haven't lost a wicket, and that was Leonard's last over. So 2 overs remaining. Who's going to bowl them? Dan Douthwaite's got 1 left. Andy Gorvin's got 1 left. Both of those guys have got it more than 10 runs and over. Douthwaite 32 off his 3. Gorvin 39 off his 3.
You'd expect Douthwaite to bowl the fight this over, and indeed he is. He hands his cap over to James Treadwell. Lawrence on strike on 106 not out. And wickets are as important as dot balls at the moment for Glamorgan. And again, we'll see short fine leg and short third in the ring, so expect pace off from Douthwaite.
Given behind square, the offside, that will be at least 2. 18 off 11.
That's a really pleasing moment for Surrey, and that in the midst of all this chaos and drama and the idea that it has to be boundaries or dots to get home, Dan Lawrence just opens the face of his bat, places the ball in a gap, and Surrey run 2.
Oh, whips that for 4. And another extraordinary shot from Dan Lawrence. That ball was several feet outside his off stump. He took a couple of steps across, whipped it through square leg for 4. Surrey 14 runs away.
He has been sensational. It's been one of the most enjoyable innings I can remember watching.
Waits on it, biffs it down the ground for 1, gets off strike. 13 off 9. You think you've seen it all in T20 batting with the creativity and skill that batters have these days, but genuinely there have been a couple of shots today I've not really seen before in the T20 game.
The back foot pull off a full-length Andy Gorvin 65-mile-an-hour half volley. I've never seen anything like it, ever.
Full toss. Doesn't quite get hold of it, Tom Curran, but doesn't go straight to long off, so they should be able to come back for 2. They do. 2s are very good for Surrey. 11 off 8. How do you think Surrey play these last 2 balls? Because you said these days thinking is you get it done as much as you can before the final 6.
Tom Curran, 4 runs away from a 50, but has got 2 free hits if he wants them. Keep going.
Doesn't get
No
hold
ball.
at all, and it's a no ball. That's 2 runs plus the run off the bat and an extra ball and a free hit. 8 off 8. That changes things massively.
Well, it felt before even that ball was bowled, there was a bit of a gravitational pull towards a Surrey victory here. Glamorgan, no matter what they've tried over the last 10 overs, hasn't been enough. There have been times where they've bowled perfectly well. They've just been come up against an inspired Dan Lawrence, who's going to face this free hit now.
Does well. Just one run off it. 7 off 7. Curran on strike. That was officially a free hit, Cam. Is this effectively another one for Tom Curran?
You know, I've flipped over now. It's 7 off 7. Just get bat on ball and keep running.
Well, Glamorgan have missed the cut-off, so they have an extra man in the ring. Full toss, hit hard, in front of square on the offside. It'll be at least 1-2, so they start the final over needing 5. Tom Curran, 49 not out. This partnership now worth an extraordinary 140. A reminder, Surrey was 16 for 3 in the 4th over, chasing 223. Going into the last over, they need 5.
In the state of the match when Dan Lawrence came to the crease, I would love to get WinViz. I'd love to find out what WinViz was way back when, because there can't be too many cricket matches that have been won from such a position. You know what, the man on your screen there, Dan Lawrence, is largely to thank, but Tom Curran has played an unbelievably fine innings as well. When he arrived at the crease, he crunched his first ball through the covers for 1, then he kind of ramped, I don't know what the right word for that is, he guided it for 6 over the wicketkeeper next up, and was rotating the strike to make sure Lawrence was back, facing as many balls as possible, and then he started hitting the accelerator himself. But now, Dan Lawrence can finish it in one blow.
Gorvin into Lawrence. Hit hard, down the ground, for 6. Lawrence finishes it off in style. One of the great blast innings, one of the great Surrey T20 innings. 120 off 54 deliveries. He came in when Surrey was 16 for 3 in the 4th over, chasing 223. They've got over the line. It's Surrey's highest ever successful chase in the T20 blast. They've done it with 5 balls left spare. This partnership, 146. Extraordinary, totally extraordinary.
It's a genuinely remarkable, potentially once in a career type of innings that Dan Lawrence has just played. With all the context involved, the match situation, his own T20 record. He hasn't been playing that much T20 cricket this year. He's got a high score of 93 in the competition, or in the format, and he's just made a maiden century and dragged his team almost single-handedly from what was 16 for 3, effectively 16 for 4 with the injury to Laurie Evans. And he walks off, taking Surrey one step closer to the quarter-finals. It was elegant, it was brutal, it was clinical, and Dan Lawrence and Tom Curran have been nothing short of superb.
120 off 54 deliveries, 12 fours, 5 sixes. It's the second highest score from number 5 in the history of T20 cricket, and that really is what we're talking about today. We saw something that basically never happens in T20 cricket. There's so much of it played, but genuinely to come back from 16 for 3, you can see Lawrence there receiving all the praise and goodwill from his teammates, in awe of what their teammate has just done. And Surrey have won a game they had no right to win early on in the run chase, and achieved something remarkable.
It's a team game, cricket. One man has done pretty much everything. I wonder if it's the highest score ever by a wicketkeeper batter. We need those stats. Give him the gloves and let him keep him. Dan Lawrence can do what he wants tonight, for a few more nights at that.
Well, a word or two, Cam, just on Tom Curran, because Lawrence is going to take all the headlines, but from ball 1, Curran not only was striking it really well, he sensed the game situation and how to play it brilliantly.
Well, he didn't panic. There's a feeling when the run rate is up at around 13 and over that boundaries need to be scored all the time, and potentially from both ends, but he was dropping singles, getting Lawrence back on strike, and you can see the scorecard here. Will Jacks contributed at the top with 31 off 21, but then Ryan Patel, Jason Roy, Sam Curran, just 10 runs between the 3 of them, and when you thought that the game was dead and buried, Dan Lawrence and Tom Curran, and we're going to have a word with one of the players themselves. Here he is.
Wow, wow, wow. What a night here at the Kia Oval. And I am beyond thrilled to say I'm joined by one of the batters as part of that 146-run partnership between Dan Lawrence and Mr. Tom Curran. Tom, how does that feel?
Yeah, unbelievable game. Glad to be on the right side of it, and yeah, to be at the other end to watch world-class knock, obviously, yeah, good feeling.
Dan came in, I think, 16 for 3, chasing that enormous score. I mean, that takes some incredible skill, but also the mental strength. Talk us through how he was out there, how he was like out there.
Yeah, no, it was good. Great to bat with him. Obviously, that's a tough position to come in and bat, 3 down, but that's why number 5 is a very important role, and yeah, he played a world-class innings there. And to be not out at the end, I guess that's the most important thing. So, yeah, world-class.
And of course, you played a brilliant supporting role there. What was your mindset when you came out still with a lot of the job to be done?
Yeah, look, we still had a lot of time to bat. He was going nicely, so look, I tried to keep a sort of a positive tempo without being reckless, and yeah, just stay with him because we were scoring at the rate throughout without taking too much risk. So yeah, it was class. Great.
On paper, 220 odd looks like a huge score to chase. What was your mindset at the interval? What were you saying to each other?
Well, I was thinking, let's get back a couple of their bowlers. Like they got us. Yeah, look, it's a great place to bat, and yeah, it's a hard place to defend. You know, it's a big square all across, quick outfield, reasonably short side, and we bat till 11. So, yeah, just to be positive and come and hopefully get the job done.
And with that massive game against Somerset coming up on Sunday, that's got to fill all you guys with huge belief.
Yeah, absolutely. We've felt good all year. Small wins, keep improving, and hopefully peaking towards the back end of the tournament. But that's a good win, that.
Very last from me. Absolute superstars, you and Dan. But talking of superstars, what about this Kia Oval crowd?
Yeah, unbelievable. Never disappoints. Even just fielding when you do get a second in between balls there. The sun was shining, people are enjoying. Yeah, very, very lucky to play. And like I said earlier, great to get the win in front of our home fans.
Well, we've certainly been lucky to witness both you and Dan in action tonight. Well done, well played. Good luck for Sunday. Give it up, everybody, for Tom Curran.
What a performance from Tom Curran. What a partnership that was with Dan Lawrence. Dan Lawrence, 120 off 54 deliveries. Tom Curran, 49 off 27. A truly unwinnable game for Surrey early on. 16 for 3. Even when Will Jacks fell, that brilliant run out from Kieran Carlson, when he falls, Surrey are 78 for 4. We didn't know, we still don't know, we will never know about the fitness of Laurie Evans and whether or not he was able to bat. But we suspected that Surrey were effectively 78 for 5 at that stage. The required run rate up and above 13 runs and over, but Lawrence and Curran kept their cool, kept their heads, and attacked the chase with real purpose and real skill. An amazing, amazing performance. Cam, we leave the final word to you. What a day of cricket we've just had.
Well, it just feels like we've been lucky enough to witness a genuinely remarkable thing. We often speak in kind of superlatives, probably too much when covering cricket, but it's real pleasure when you get to witness something that is once in every few years, maybe not once in a lifetime, but the style and the substance of that Dan Lawrence innings, I genuinely don't think I have seen something like it before. I've seen hundreds of 40 balls where you see the ball flying into the stands consistently. That wasn't what that innings was. That was an innings of touch and precision as well as power. And look at it there, 120 not out off 54. Tom Curran, he's played one of the great cameos as well, and it's been a famous victory and a great night here at the Kia Oval.
Cam and I assure you watch a lot of cricket. Hand on heart, there are some shots today I've never seen before from Dan Lawrence. An extraordinary display of batting, an extraordinary game of cricket, and well done to all 22 players involved, both Surrey and Glamorgan, for putting on such a special show tonight. That's everything from me, Yaz Rana and Cam Punsonby in the commentary box. Big thank you to our producers Jake and Mark next door for putting on the show. If you enjoyed what you saw tonight, try and come down to the Kia Oval on Sunday. They're back in just 2 days' time against Somerset in the Blast. Top of the table clash. Either come into the ground or watch us on the stream. We'll be back for every ball. Cheers for joining us.